bit of some rotation. So there's a little bit of a kink in that line, and that's what we're looking at, some rotation. And the label with the happened. We had that occur actually just south of Aiken about an hour ago. So this line is capable of producing some pretty damaging weather out there, and that is something that we're going to make sure that you are staying aware of and staying safe. So anywhere in Linton, Deep Step, southern Hancock County or northern Washington County, just make sure you're getting into your safe spot. Get to the most lowest, most interior part of your home. That is where you're going to be safest, and that's the best place to ride out this storm. Tim, on Web 2, if you just want to pull up the Web 2 graphic, and that's kind of our high-resolution radar and kind of broken down into what we're seeing on the high-resolution radar with as far as rotation, what reflectivity looks like, and we have a few different variables we can look at with this too. So the bottom left corner is INROT. That's looking at favorable rotation that could be indicative of a tornado. And right outside of Milledgeville, now on the east side, is where we're seeing that rotation line up with that little bit of a comma head inside that line to where there could be just enough to produce a tornado over the next couple of minutes here. So want to make sure everyone is staying in that safe spot if you're anywhere in southern Hancock or northern Washington County. Seeing a pretty low CC spike that most likely is a hail spike just near the Aiken radar site, but we'll kind of widen this out. The next spot we're looking at is up in, I'm not sure why that went away. Let's see here. That went dark. So let's go back to the regular radar out there, Tim. There was another spot that was we were looking at just near Sparta that actually had looked like it had some pretty good rotation on it too. But we are looking at just this entire line that's going to be capable of producing strong wind gusts, damaging straight line winds, and there could just be a few spots that maybe do have the potential to drop a tornado at times. So that's really the main hazard we're looking at with this line heading over the next several hours. Every single one of our CSRA counties is underneath a tornado watch, so that means conditions are favorable for tornadoes to occur. So anywhere in the CSRA, need to make sure you're keeping that First Alert weather app close by. It's going to let you know if there is any alerts that are issued for your location, and I'd imagine we see more of these alerts over the next several hours. It is a pretty quick moving line, moving east at about 40-50 miles an hour. This is we also have an additional severe thunderstorm warning, and just gets into Johnson County, just outside of Wrightsville. This is the most active storm we're currently looking at that Tim has on the map here. So this is the tornado warning that is moving over Lake Sinclair and about to push into southern Hancock and northern Washington. So you can see those towns right there on the map: Underwood, Linton, Deep Step. Just make sure you're getting into your safe room. A lot of times it's a hallway closet, hallway bathroom, even underneath the hallway staircase. If you live in a mobile home or a trailer, that is not a safe place to be inside a tornado warning. So make sure you're getting to a safe structure. And I'll go ahead and give that warning to everywhere in the CSRA. If you live in a mobile home or a trailer, you need to make sure you have a safe place to get to quickly in case your location is placed underneath a tornado warning. So we are going to continue to be tracking this line throughout the rest of the morning hours. Shouldn't be completely clear of the CSRA until we get to about 11 a.m. So this is just now starting for our western counties and going to continue moving east. And Tim's showing the tornado watch right there, so you can see highlight in yellow in effect for every single one of our counties out there. And just a good morning to make sure you are staying weather aware, and this is why we issued the first alert yesterday, Tim. Yeah, for sure here. This has been going on since about 2 this morning out of eastern Alabama and western Georgia. History of embedded tornado warnings in the severe thunderstorm warning. Obviously, we're keeping a very watchful eye and the track on this area just east of Milledgeville. Looks like the Milledgeville area
area at this point is kind of clear. That's moving east, but not southern Hancock and northwestern Washington County. So into that Linton area, we just put a track on there, Underwood, Linton, Deep Step, kind of just moving into some of the western half of the viewing area. That's where we definitely have the strongest and most severe line here. So once again, we'll put that track, kind of give you a little bit more of a time frame on when we're expected to see that line kind of move in this area. And it's a fast-moving line, 45, 50 miles per hour. So between Beulah and Linton, 741 to 746, in the Worthen area at 804. So I'd say getting out to the Worthen area is kind of putting it into northern Washington County. So give it another 2 hours or less, and this line is going to be closer into the metro area of Augusta as that extends on through here for the next several hours. So it's been a very busy morning with a lot of the severe weather that's continuing to move east and very quickly here. But we'll widen out and just show you how long this line is. This goes all the way down just about to the border of Florida and Georgia, with some embedded tornado warnings there west of Valdosta here. Doesn't look like the most significant severe line is in any of our northern half of the viewing area counties here. It looks like we've gotten another tornado warning. It's probably, yeah, that's just off and along I-16, probably west of Dublin, Georgia. That's where that tornado warning is right now. But the most concerning and affecting our western counties, that's what we're kind of highlighted in right there. And that points at that tornado warning until 8 a.m. It kind of includes dual county areas here as we move on through. So that's where we're looking mainly at severe thunderstorm warnings and embedded tornado warnings at this point here. So we'll go back in, kind of load up the radar, quickly look at that going on through into what will be just south of Devereaux, into the Linton and Deep Step area, though, into western and southern half of Hancock and northern Washington County.
And Tim, we're just now joining into programming on CBS and NBC. So if you're just viewing us from those outlets, we are underneath a tornado watch. We have an active tornado warning in effect for southern Hancock and also northern Washington County. This line has been capable of producing tornadoes so far this morning, and now it is reaching the CSRA. Every single one of our counties is underneath a tornado watch, so it's a good morning to make sure you have that First Alert weather app close by so you can get any alerts that are issued for your location. We do have this one active tornado warning and then a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for places for the rest of Hancock County, Washington County, and even down south towards Johnson County. So we are tracking this tornado warning that is just now reaching the western CSRA. This just moved past Milledgeville and now about to approach that Hancock and Washington County line. Also near Sparta, you're underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, and the tag for all these warnings that have really been coming out this morning is that there is going to be the potential for some of these to be producing damaging straight line winds and also have the ability to produce these spin-up tornadoes. So this is definitely the main threats we're going to be monitoring over the next several hours. This is going to be moving rapidly eastward at about 40, 50 miles an hour. So this is still well west of Augusta, but will be showing up within the next hour, hour and a half. So it's a good idea to make sure that you are staying weather aware this morning, keeping an eye on this line. It has been capable of producing severe weather so far this morning, and with it timing out just an hour or two later, that means it is going to have the potential for a little bit more instability as we head through the first couple of hours after sunrise. So just make sure you are staying safe out there. We just got a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for pretty much all of Washington County and now into Glasscock County and portions of Jefferson and Johnson County. And there was a confirmed tornado just south of the warning that we're looking at, Tim, that is just outside the CSRA along I-16. And that is about to, they just put a new tornado warning out that's getting closer and closer towards Johnson County. So that is the next system and cell that we are going to be keeping a close eye on.
For sure here. So numerous severe thunderstorm warnings and embedded tornado warnings here, with already a history over the last several hours of this becoming strong to severe. So extending all the way down. Yeah, you can see the one that Riley was just talking about, the polygon that's got a white outline in it here. That is a confirmed tornado warning out there just outside of the Aiken radar site, it looks like, along I-16 here. So we've really got to watch a lot of you southern counties here as we continue on. Johnson County, a severe thunderstorm warning in the Wrightsville area. Tennell, that includes into the Washington County area, Sandersville, Harrison, Davisboro. Even though it's not right on top of you, this is a fast-moving line between 40 and 50 plus miles per hour, but also including some areas that we've had the tornado warning just outside of southern Hancock and northern Washington County. Underwood, Linton, you're kind of included in that tornado warning, as well as kind of the southernmost edge in the deep step area is where we do have some of that tornado warning included here. So, Riley, very busy morning what we're looking at as far as severe storms, tornado watches. I'll go back out and just show you who's included in that tornado watch. That's all of the CSRA, and it's kind of divided up. A lot of the western half of the viewing area from Wilkes County down to Emmanuel County until 9 a.m., but all of the metro, eastern, and central counties until 1 p.m., where we do have the tornado watch included in there as well, and a severe outlook that's still in that marginal risk. But even then, even though that's a low level 1 out of 5, that's at least a risk. And right now, we've already had the history of spotted tornadoes, tornado warnings numerous across eastern Alabama and western Georgia since very early this morning here.
Definitely so. And the thing is, we just have a tremendous amount of wind shear in our atmosphere, and there's just enough instability and energy to lead to this tornado threat. So this is why we are seeing these tornado warnings out there early this morning, and severe thunderstorm warnings that now go even further into the CSRA. You can see Sandersville now underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, and you can see how those warnings are highlighted in red as well. And they're including in the tag that a tornado could be possible really anywhere inside that line, that we do have some rotation. So anywhere in Washington, Glasscock, Johnson, Jefferson, Hancock County, make sure you're getting to that safe spot inside your home, the lowest, most interior part of your home, and hunker down there until these warnings are allowed to expire. We're live on our website, on our app as well. And so if you take your phone into that safe room, you can continue to monitor these updates as we continue to track them for you for the next several hours. We're expecting this line to get closer towards the Augusta metro within the next 30-45 minutes. So it is quickly moving off towards the east, and that's why we're seeing these warnings being placed out well in front of this line to give enough warning to people in our viewing area about what's happening. But with this newest tornado, severe thunderstorm warning that just got issued, Tim, for places like Sandersville and even Gibson and Glasscock County, this is what the National Weather Service is saying. Severe thunderstorm located along a line extending from Shoulderbone to Danville, moving east at 40. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts will be possible. Remain alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once into a basement or small central room in a sturdy structure. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of your building. Same thing if you're seeing wind damage or hail. Wait until that storm is passed, and then if you do see that type damage, you can call the National Weather Service to relay any storm reports that you may have. But this line is definitely pretty healthy, Tim, and definitely concerning enough to issue these warnings.
And it seems to be piggybacking one county, one area after another, getting down a little bit more. It looks like there's 2 embedded, maybe even 3 embedded tornado warnings as I'm zooming in a little bit closer. And I'm getting in there closer because this is kind of moving east very quickly towards Johnson County. Doesn't include parts of Johnson County, even though the severe thunderstorm warning does. But it's obvious that there is that potential for some of these thunderstorms that are warned to become tornadic. Also, we continue to go up a little bit closer and follow areas east of Milledgeville, and kind of a line that's been continuing within the last 30 minutes. It's still under a tornado warning right there. So if you're in the Linton area, Deep Step, Worthen, and that tornado warning is just south of the Devereaux area, that's a pretty strong line of storms right there going on through here. As we move on through. So we're going to put a pause on that, kind of look at the where it is and it sits right now. it's possible that this could get extended a little bit farther east into portions of northern Washington County. But in that bi-county area of Hancock County and Washington County areas where we're kind of highlighting where that tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning is continuing right now.
And looks like they just dropped that tornado warning right there.
It's possible. Yeah, it does look like. It's kind of hard, folks, we apologize. It's hard to kind of decipher between, okay, so they're allowing some of that warning in the severe thunderstorm warning and tornado warning to expire now. But with those areas that are shaded in red in that larger polygon, that's just a tag from the Weather Service that these strong to severe storms have the potential to become tornadic. And that's why we're spending a lot of time on that. And then also down around the Macon radar site there, Danville and even south is where we have another tornado warned storm that's moving due east and could impact areas into western Johnson County. It's kind of right on the fringe there of Johnson County.
It just doesn't quite make it to Johnson County, right. But you would be next in line for that. So these are radar indicated. We do not have confirmed tornadoes necessarily inside our viewing area at the moment. And I would say a positive trend, they were able to drop that tornado warning there in places like Hancock and Washington County. But this cell down further south, definitely worth keeping an eye on for us, and something we are going to have to watch closely. You can see some of our storm tracks still picking up some rotation there in southern, just south of Sparta, right there in Hancock County. So wherever we're getting these little kinks in the line, that's where there is some rotation happening. So these are the type of areas we're going to have to continue to monitor very closely, and what we're going to be keeping an eye on for the rest of the morning. So this is just going to continue moving east. We're looking at kind of our environment here across most of the CSRA. We have limited instability, limited energy for these storms to work with to create this severe weather threat, but it's just enough. And we have plenty of shear and helicity, just favorable spin in our atmosphere that is going to be capable of continuing these warnings just further east through the viewing area. So that's why we want to make sure everyone in the CSRA is staying mindful of this weather and keeping a very close eye on it. This is a 4-box of our high-resolution radar. Top left box is the reflectivity we've been showing you. The top right box is actually velocity. So this is where we look at kind of what our wind field looks like inside these storms. And we can definitely see some strong straight-line winds wherever these severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect for places like Sandersville and Wrightsville. And then in that red box, that is the tornado warning. And this bottom left box is looking at what we call NROT. This is looking at areas of favorable spin to produce tornadoes. Those values have gone down for that warning that was in effect for Hancock and Washington County. So that was positive, but we go a little bit further south. You can see there is still some of that NROT. You can see some green and blue next to each other. That's a good sign that this is producing some really strong rotation that is capable of producing a tornado. So this is why the National Weather Service did issue that warning. Looks like the latest scan that came in did just weaken that just a tad, so we like to see that trend. Looks like the strongest of those values is further south, just outside the CSRA, south of I-16, but even for us here locally, we do have, nonetheless, some pretty strong severe thunderstorm warnings. And right there, Tim, north of Sparta, looks like some pretty strong rotation near Culverton, heading towards Mayfield. That part of the line is not underneath the warning, but I would not be surprised if that's kind of next in line to see that issued. So really anywhere inside this line, there's going to be favorable ingredients for severe thunderstorms. Even an isolated tornado warning can't be ruled out either. So anywhere in Hancock County, just make sure you are staying in that safe spot. Next in line would be Warren County, Mayfield, Warrenton. You're going to be kind of next to see these storms roll through. You're not underneath the warning at the moment, but we'll be capable of producing some bad weather as it continues pushing east. So I've been kind of trying to keep up on the Facebook comments. If you're watching us on that outlet, Everywhere in the CSRA is underneath a tornado watch. So if you're asking, is Aiken County okay? Is Richmond County okay? Is Byrd County okay? Everyone is underneath a tornado watch, and you need to make sure you are staying weather aware for the rest of this morning. Cannot rule out an isolated tornado and strong wind gusts anywhere in our viewing area. You can see highlighted in yellow, that is the tornado watch that will be in effect until 1 p.m. I would imagine the line is already east of us by the time we get to that time frame. This is a relatively quick moving line, so it's really just most likely the next couple of hours. Really need to be aware of what's happening outside and have a way to receive alerts. Best way to receive alerts is our First Alert weather app. That's going to be the best way to stay informed and get any alerts that are issued for your location.
All right, we'll put it back out. We'll widen out the picture here a little bit more, as Riley was talking about. Still a severe thunderstorm warning for just about the entire Washington County area and southern Hancock County area, but they could always reissue what has had a history of having a tornado warning in that box with parts of southern Hancock and northern Washington County. But also very concerning line, and it does look like they might have extended a tornado warning in parts of southern Johnson County now, kind of through that line that's going to be moving into a Dublin, Georgia, I-16, kind of get right in along there. So if you're in parts of Johnson County, you definitely need to go ahead and be in a safe place here because this is moving 50 miles per hour. I'll kind of stop it, put a little track on what's going on with this, see if we can find any rotation going on inside this line of storms, because this has been the most concerning here. Put the stop on here. But coming in along Interstate 16, a very heavily traveled major interstate down just outside of our viewing area. It's going to be moving in towards Dublin probably within the next half hour. And then we'll put, again, a little bit more of a track. I'll kind of get out a little bit more, kind of pause that a little bit here and just show you. It's been real tough, Riley. I'm sorry to move it on you there, but all of that viewing area, or all of that area's tornado warnings and a severe thunderstorm warning as well.
Definitely so, Tim. So the solid red, that's the tornado warning. The dashed red is the severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect, and that's letting us know that a main threat is strong straight line winds, but with it highlighted in red, it also has a tag that a tornado could be possible. So that's why these warnings look very similar on the map here, and why you should treat these severe thunderstorm warnings like a tornado warning. Make sure you are getting to that safe spot in your safe room, lowest, most interior part of your home. We were mentioning this earlier. If you live in a mobile home or a trailer, those are not safe places to be inside a tornado warning. That, unfortunately, is where we see a lot of our tornado fatalities year after year. So if you live in a mobile home or a trailer anywhere in the CSRA, you need to make sure you have a safe structure to get to in case your location is placed underneath a tornado warning. So these storms are moving east at about 40 miles an hour, and pretty much everywhere in the western CSRA is under some type of severe alert, whether it be a severe thunderstorm warning or even potential of a tornado being possible. If we can go, here we go. I'm just going to move the radar just a little bit, and we are going to continue to see this. I'll go a little bit further north towards Sandersville. So everywhere highlighted in red right there across Washington County, you are underneath that severe thunderstorm warning until 8:30 a.m. And notice how the threat has tornado possible. So even though it's not a tornado warning, the National Weather Service is highlighting that a tornado could still be possible inside this line. We've seen some rotation that's been able to develop in a lot of this line over the last couple of hours, and even a couple of brief spin-up tornadoes have been confirmed just south of the Aiken viewing area, so just outside the CSRA, and very similar ingredients are now moving into the CSRA. So Hancock, Johnson, Washington, Wilkinson County, even Jefferson County too. Just on the west side of Highway 1, there is a little slither of Jefferson County that's underneath this same warning, and also Glasscock County too around Gibson. So anywhere in Edge Hill, Gibson, Worthen, Sandersville, you just need to treat this with urgency. Make sure you're in your safe location and ride out this storm, and make sure you have your cell phone with you so you can keep updated. You can watch us on our app and also on our website, and we're also streaming on CBS and NBC to keep you informed of this. So just make sure that you continue to stay weather aware out there, and we're going to be keeping a close eye on this line for the rest of this morning until it is clear of the CSRA. We'll go back to, let's see if we can find some, here's the velocity. I'm going to switch over this real quickly. So the velocity is basically looking at where we could have some favorable spin for tornadoes to occur. Nothing too concerning on that line at the moment, but you go a little bit further south where we do have that active tornado warning just outside of Johnson County, west of Wrightsville. There is a little bit better signature for where there could be some rotation that is capable of producing a tornado. So right there, that is going to continue moving east and pretty quickly. So that's the thing. These storms are moving quick at about 40 to 50 miles an hour. So there's not necessarily a ton of time to react to this, and make sure that as soon as you are placed underneath these warnings for the rest of the morning, that you are continuing to stay in that safe spot. Going back to it, so this is just kind of a pause frame. This is Washington County right here. You can see some pretty strong wind gusts that are now reaching the western fringes of Washington County and already started to move through a lot of Hancock County, and that's now approaching Warren County next. So Norris, Warrenton, you got a strong line of storms that is starting to move in, and already seeing a few bolts of lightning, a sign that that line is still pretty healthy. And this is going to continue moving into McDuffie County next, further into Jefferson. Right now, we're timing out this line to be approaching the Augusta, Evans, Grovetown, North Augusta metro by the time we get to around 8:30 and 9 a.m. So we're just about 30 minutes to 45 minutes away from this line getting closer towards the Savannah River, and it's just going to continue moving east across the river into many of our Carolina counties. Just a wide look at the radar right now. We'll zoom this out. So you can see that line does extend all the way into the lake. The strongest part of this line is definitely in the southwestern CSRA that is currently underneath this warning. But we do have these, let's see if we can get rid of these lake wind advisory.
Yeah, that beige stuff, folks, is just a lake wind advisory that kicks in at 10 a.m. So that isn't anything that has to do with the severe aspect of the storms right now.
And it does look like that line, Tim, not necessarily as impressive in the northern CSRA. I'll add in our Columbia radar. So we definitely still have a healthy line that's moving over Clarksville Lake around Lincolnton, McCormick. That is not severe warned at the moment and looks less impressive than what we are currently tracking through places like Washington and Hancock County. But once again, folks, really anywhere inside this line has the potential to just kind of juice up at any minute and have that potential for some really strong winds and maybe even an isolated tornado. Those are the threats that we are keeping a very close eye on. You can see as far as the severe weather outlook this morning, every single one of our counties is underneath this marginal risk. So marginal risk meaning isolated severe storms will continue to be possible. And the main threats are going to be winds 40 to 60 miles per hour. There is a low tornado risk. We've seen that verify just outside the viewing area so far this morning. And lightning also a threat that we are going to be monitoring throughout the morning hours too. So if you're hearing thunder anywhere in the CSRA, make sure you are staying inside and away from windows. If you are close enough to hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. So this is unfortunately hitting us right when we are hitting that morning commute time frame, Tim, and just not a good time of day when a lot of people are on the roadway and may not necessarily have a screen in front of them staying updated on the road. So if you know anywhere, know anyone in the western CSRA in places around Sandersville, Sparta, Warrenton, Gibson, Rennes, Louisville, Wrightsville, make sure they are aware that a strong line of storms is heading their way and to stay updated on the weather and have that First Alert weather app close by. And that's going to be the best tool to have to make sure you get all alerts that are issued for your location. This is going back to radar, and these are the active warnings that we do have. So going back to this severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Washington, Johnson, Hancock, and also portions of Jefferson and Glasscock County. This is, they issued this warning for the potential of a tornado being possible inside this line. It's going to be in effect until 8:30. Time check right now, 7:58. Getting close to the 8 a.m. hour, so this is still going to be in effect for the next 30 minutes or so. And the timing of this is, once again, moving east at 40 miles an hour. Main concern is 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but a tornado could be possible, and that's what the Weather Service is really emphasizing with this alert that just got put out. Make sure you are remaining alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly inside these severe thunderstorms with the type of ingredients we have. So even though it's a severe thunderstorm warning, I would treat it with urgency and know that a tornado could be possible. And this just continues moving east through the area over the next couple of hours.
And that is the reason they have that color code of red in that very large polygon, which is all a severe lined warn of storms, because it has the potential to become tornadic. So anytime we see that red shading right there, and it extends anywhere from the Glasscock County area, western Jefferson County area, all the way down through Dublin, which involved in the Dublin area is a tornado warning at this point. So it's affecting some major highways and interstate travel along I-16 down there in the southern half, and that's moving east very quickly. So that's why we're keeping such a watchful eye on that, because Johnson, and it's possible that if it holds together enough, even Emmanuel County, even though not under a warning right now, could get extended into your viewing, into your area. So we're going to watch that very closely as the strongest of the line is continuing to move very quickly between 40 and 50 miles per hour.
Definitely so. And as Tim just mentioned, next in line for where this tornado warning is in effect for Lawrence County would be places like Johnson and Emmanuel County. So if you're in Swainsboro, I know you're dry right now, but you got a strong line of storms heading your way. And just west of you near Dublin, there is a tornado warning in effect, and you would be next in line if they do continue to issue this tornado warning ahead of this line. So I want to make sure you are aware of that in Adrian, Kite, Swainsboro, Nunez, Oak Park, Garfield, even in places like Burke County too. This line is going to be moving your way fairly quickly over the next 30 to 45 minutes. So just make sure you're continuing to stay updated on what's happening outside and have that way to receive alerts. And Tim, on our radar network here, let's go ahead and drag that down towards that tornado warning. We'll see if we see anything that looks too concerning. We'll kind of jump around some graphics right here, but
this is getting into where we can track a little bit more of rotation, velocity, and radar reflectivity all together is what we're going to be looking at right here.
Yes, and right just south of Dublin definitely looks like a really good signature right there, Tim. Let's see if I can get my pointer right here. So just right there, that is definitely a good sign that that is some pretty strong rotation just south of Dublin. And you can see it lines up with that inrot as well. So that inrot is looking at favorable spin that can produce tornadoes. And it looks like those are lining up pretty quickly. Right here in this pink and purple color box, this is what we call correlation coefficient. This is a good way to see a debris signature if a tornado does verify. And this would help us confirm if there is a tornado or not. We don't see very low CC values at the moment, but with these latest scans coming in, I would not be surprised if maybe we do see those CC values lower just a little bit more, because that is a very healthy signature for the potential of a tornado being possible just south of Dublin. So that is in Lawrence County. That is outside of the CSRA, but the reason why we're focusing on it is that it is quickly approaching the southern CSRA around Johnson and Emmanuel County. So those are the areas we want to make sure are aware that there is some active severe weather that is trying to move in and continues to look pretty impressive on radar just outside of our viewing area. Now up towards Sandersville, that looks like mainly straight line wind damage. We don't necessarily see a ton of rotation in that line at the moment. But we are just going to have to continue watching it very closely. And this is why we did issue that first alert yesterday to let you know that this type of active weather is going to be possible. And usually, Tim, I mean, we don't honestly necessarily see a ton of tornado events happen this early into the morning, but this setup is just conducive to where it has just enough instability and energy at the surface to produce those type threats. And there's a plethora of wind shear, helicity, and lift, as this is a very strong cold front kind of initiating these thunderstorms early this morning. Looks like they just extended that newest severe thunderstorm warning into Swainsboro and Johnson County, and since it is highlighted in red, that does include the tornado possible tag. So this is the newest warning that just got issued for our area. That includes Emmanuel, Lawrence, Telfair, Toombs, and Johnson County. That's going to be in effect until 8:45 p.m. You can see the threat, tornado possible. Even though it's a severe thunderstorm warning, they are letting us know that a tornado could honestly be possible inside that line. So this is the latest alert from the National Weather Service saying remain alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado go at once into the basement or small central room in a sturdy structure. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of your building. So get as low as possible and put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as you can. If you live in a mobile home or a trailer, those are not safe places to be inside a tornado warning. You need to make sure that you are staying aware of that and have a safe place to get to quickly. So if you're anywhere in Emmanuel County, you are still about 15-20 minutes away from this line reaching you. So if you can get to a safer structure, do that right now because this line is quickly racing your way at about 40 miles an hour. Looks like the speed of this hasn't necessarily, it has changed just a little bit with this latest warning that just came out for Emmanuel and Johnson. They're saying it's moving east at 50 miles an hour. So it's starting to pick up steam. And we are continuing to see that threat for tornadoes across the southern CSRA.
So yes, tornado possible with any of this line that extends down across the western half of the viewing area outside of Glasscock, Jefferson County, all the way. And we spend a lot of time on the Dublin one area, I-16 moving east very quickly at 50 towards Emmanuel County. That there is going to be the possibility of tornadic rotation right there. So when Riley's talking about a lot of helicity and spin, we're talking about winds changing direction with height as this storm gets up. We get a little bit higher up in the atmosphere, so a lot of rotation is continuing with these thunderstorms. So at any time, there could be a tornado that drops out. So he's dragging out and just kind of tracking from where that line extends just outside of the warned storm location, but from, I'd say, about I-20 just to portions maybe of northern McDuffie County, Columbia County, and it goes all the way east of the river. You can see some time frames out there where this line is going to move. 50 miles per hour movement toward the east in the Thompson area, 810, Appling at 822, and on through about 916 to Statesboro, Georgia area. So it's incredible how long of a storm system this is. And it goes even farther. This goes all the way down to about the Florida Panhandle. Obviously, we're spending more and more time here locally because we do have warned storms and embedded tornado warnings that are going to continue at least through the next 30 to 45 minutes, if not getting extended into, which is already in parts of Johnson County, hopefully not staying in effect through the Emmanuel County area, but it's hard to believe that this is going to be weakening because it's just continued from around Macon about an hour and a half ago to Warner Robins, and now is starting to move into the western fringe of our viewing area. So we've got that track on there. It is currently 8:07 right now, so we're staying live because of that tornado warned impact and severe thunderstorm line. It's all warned. Severe thunderstorm warning to embedded tornado warnings, moving quickly off toward the east at 50 miles per hour. So if we look at Augusta, this would be in the Augusta area, Aiken area between 8:45 and 9 a.m. as fast as this is moving. So it's kind of a east to northeast movement where we have the most significant line of severe storms that are including a lot of our major metro areas, I'd say within the next 30 to 45 minutes. So from areas that include outside of eastern Hancock County, Washington County, also Johnson County, all the way down to Lawrence County in the Dublin area on I-16, that's where we have the most significant line that's quickly moving off toward the east, Riley.
Definitely so. And I was just looking, checking on the Weather Service chat, see if there's any new information. One thing that I was noticing is that counties outside the CSRA that have already seen this line of storms are already relaying some damage reports to the National Weather Service. So around Putnam County, Stewart County, those are places that did that were impacted by this line just about an hour or so ago, and they are showing pictures of trees down, even having some structure damage in a few spots. So treat this line with some urgency, folks. Definitely make sure that you are getting to a safe spot as soon as your location is placed underneath any type of severe weather alert for the next couple of hours. As Tim has been mentioning, that's kind of the time frame of when we're expecting this line to arrive for your particular city. So we're just about 30 to 45 minutes away from this impacting areas around Columbia and also Richmond County, Burke County, even in Jenkins County too. So just make sure that you're continuing to monitor these weather updates and stay updated on what's happening. The latest warning that we do have is in effect for Emmanuel and Johnson County, and there is a very slim sliver of Johnson County that is underneath this tornado warning that is just moving out of Dublin. So we'll go back to our velocity and see if we can see what's happening with the latest of that. So this is the area that we've been keeping an eye on. So this is trying to get closer and closer to Wrightsville. Looks like we just got another severe thunderstorm.
More and more as we speak.
Let's see if we can widen that out and kind of see where that went into effect. So that may, oh, there we go. So now we got a new one that is now in effect for McDuffie, Columbia, Edgefield, McCormick, and Richmond County. So this is the newest one that we just saw issued, folks. So no surprise, we were just saying that this was kind of be the next spot within the next 30 to 45 minutes. So here you go. This is, they're still continuing the tornado possible tag out there. So this includes most of our metro counties, Columbia, Richmond, McDuffie, McCormick, Edgefield County as well. And even into southern Lincoln County. So anywhere around Clarksville Lake. And Tim, I know you had the lake cam pulled up just a second ago. Were you able to see anything out there?
It just kind of looked like a line that seemed to form. We're getting some raindrops on the lens right there for sure here.
Let's turn that down towards the river. Here, I'll show you what our tower cam is looking like down towards the Thurman Dam. So that's a live look over the lake. And we're going to turn this down towards the Savannah River to see if we can see anything different. You can definitely see kind of signs of sunrise, but then that cloud cover off towards the west that is approaching quickly. So we're going to keep an eye on these tower cams across the area, and you can already see a few raindrops on the lens right there. So it's already starting to see some rain up towards the lake, and now it's the velocity signature we're going to have to keep a close eye on for that potential of maybe producing some strong winds up towards Clarks Hill. So I'll go up here and you can see this is using the Columbia radar site, and kind of some broken coverage right there, tough to kind of make out. So this is in one of those what we call radar gaps. And so actually I'm going to pull up our Harlem radar, Tim, and see if we can see anything that looks a little bit different. There you go. So this is using our Harlem radar site. And definitely looks like a lot healthier line that is now approaching northern McDuffie County and also Lincoln County and into Columbia County next. So that's going to be impacting areas around Parksville, Modoc, Clarks Hill, Appling, Pollard's Corner, and then also, of course, Thompson as well in central McDuffie County. So this line's dropping quickly, and right now it doesn't necessarily look like there is it looks like mainly straight line wind damage at the moment, but this Harlem radar site definitely very useful to get kind of those lowest scans in the atmosphere, and this really helps fill in those radar gaps. So this is a look at the Harlem radar site right now, showing some pretty torrential rainfall now on I-20 just north of Thompson, also up towards the lake, kind of getting closer and closer towards our Thurman Dam cam. So our Thurman Dam view is about right there, and you can see these storms quickly racing that direction. Already seeing some pretty intense rain and most likely some wind in McDuffie County at the moment. So no surprise that the Weather Service did issue this new severe thunderstorm warning that now includes most of the Augusta metro, all the way towards West Augusta, Fort Gordon, you're underneath this alert too, Grovetown, Harlem, Thompson, Evans, Clarks Hill, and all the way to Exit 1 in Edgefield and Aiken County. North Augusta, you're just outside that warning, but you are going to be next to see that.
I'll throw in there real quick, just briefly here, that severe thunderstorm warning until 9 a.m. And this is kind of extending near the Lincolnton to Thompson area, near Mitchell, moving east at 30. The main hazard right now for this particular line, obviously very heavy rain, and it's affecting I-20. You want to stay off right there. But up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible with that as this continues to get updated. Impacts, expect damage to trees and power lines possible. And Riley talked a lot about a lot of the major metro areas within the next half hour will be affected by this line. Then this continues to extend a little bit farther down into our southern counties where we've had the significant, almost tornadic activity, which is around the Dublin, Georgia area too. So just kind of seeing this line, I'll go a little bit farther south. Everybody in the CSRA, all counties in a tornado watch. A lot of the central and eastern counties until 1 p.m. and our far western counties until 9 a.m. But this line's getting here a lot sooner than that 1 p.m. time frame. So where we do have a look at the Wrightsville area embedded in those solid red polygons, those are actual tornado warnings. So, and it's right kind of on the western fringe of the Wrightsville area in Johnson County. So we definitely, if you live in Johnson County, if you're around the Wrightsville area, go ahead and get to your safe place as well. It's been real tricky at times, we'll tell you. You can see how large that extended area of red is, even outside the solid red polygons. Those are areas that are under a severe thunderstorm warning, with storms possible producing a tornado. So this goes from I-16 all the way up into areas just around the lake that we just talked about here this morning. So I'll kind of zoom in, and we're using that Harlem radar site to give us the closest scans right now. So Lincolnton, Parksville, up there in Modoc, it's raining heavily, more than likely in some of those highways, 221, I-20, moving in and out of McDuffie County and very quickly into Columbia County. So the Warrenton area, you've got some very heavy rain. Doesn't look like anything is tornadic there, but keep in mind these storms have had a history of possible tornadic rotation. So it looks like Mitchell and eventually the Gibson area, that line of strong storms close to you in Gibson, probably within the next 15 minutes. East of Worthen right now, Sandersville looks like the strongest line is just a little bit off to the east. You still want to stay in a safe place right there. But we just kind of focus a lot on those western and southern counties here. That's where we've had the most significant severe aspects. So in Swainsboro, I'd say all of it looks like all of Emmanuel County is under that severe thunderstorm warning, with the potential of strong to severe storms producing tornadic thunderstorms as well. So we're really kind of watching what's going to be moving in through the metro area here of Augusta very soon. As we kind of put a pause right here, I'll put a track back on and just kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at time frame wise. Maybe need to move it a little bit more so we can include some of that major Augusta area. I'll draw a little track out here, kind of talk about just about how long this is going to take to get through a lot of our areas. So 8:18 in the Appling area. We've got a current time of 8:16. So right there close to Appling. Grovetown 8:25. Evans, North Augusta 8:31 to 8:38. North Augusta and Burnettown. So this is going to be moving east of the river with this line well before 9 o'clock. And then we've got to concern ourselves with what's left over in the southern counties, because it may be a little while longer before the rest of that line moves on through areas like Jefferson County and Burke County. You can see all of Burke County right now. You're okay at the moment, but if you've got to get somewhere, do it now, but don't stay out in any extended period of times, because Highway 25, it will probably be right on you, I'd say within the hour, at least by 9, because we go back up north, and this line of storms is going to be around the Augusta, Evans, Grovetown area just around 9 o'clock. So we're at 8:17. As we back out a little bit more and just kind of look at a lot of that western line. That's a healthy line of storm, folks, that's extending down into portions of Washington County, Davisboro, Gibson. It's all warned. It's all severe warned storms with the potential of producing 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, or maybe even higher. And then, of course, a more dangerous aspect of what we're looking at down across areas like Johnson and Emmanuel County, and even extending down towards Dublin, Georgia, where we've had history of tornado-warned storms right there. So we're really going to have to keep a watchful eye on those locations a little bit more. So we'll kind of put back on a few more of the radar sites here that'll give us a little bit better track, kind of put on the Columbia radar site and the Warner Robins radar site, especially for a lot of you folks that are down in our southern counties, so that you can see some of those radar reflectivities. So Johnson County and eventually into Emmanuel County is where we're on top of right now. So Wrightsville, we're looking right on top of you. You've got a very large line of extended severe thunderstorms that are warned at this point, and that severe thunderstorm warning goes until looks like 8:45 in some of the Emmanuel, Lawrence, and Telfair County areas and Toombs County. With this line. And everywhere in this red shaded box, even though we don't have the tornado warning polygons in it, it's possible that we could see a tornado warned thunderstorm at any time. So that also does include some of our area underneath into the metro counties here. So from McDuffie County, Columbia, part of Richmond County, and even into the Lincoln and McCormick County area up by the lake, that's all a warned area with the possibility of a tornado here. So, you know, we can extend this out even more and just show you how far down south this line is extending. Trying to see, it looks like they may have dropped the tornado warnings for some of those areas that were around Dublin, Georgia. At this point, they're just severe thunderstorm warned. But that doesn't mean the threat is non-existent. You can see out in areas that aren't seeing that heavy line, Swainsboro, Nunez, just to the north of Emmanuel County in the Midville area and Garfield, would stay in a safe place just because this is moving very quickly at 50 miles per hour. We'll put it in motion a little bit more and just kind of show you within the last few hours what this line's been doing. Very quick moving storm system right there. So from Wrightsville to Sandersville, a little east of your area right now, Glasscock County, Gibson, and this is moving closer and closer into western Jefferson County right there. So this is going to have an impact on Highway 1, I'd say probably within the next 20 to 30 minutes. So Rennes, Louisville, Wadley, not in an area of warned storms, but it's been holding together. So we will not be surprised if that severe thunderstorm line gets extended into a lot of Jefferson County.
And you can see the little kinks in that line right there, Tim, too. You can just see, here, I'll get our little pointer right here, but you can see these areas is kind of where we're keeping a close eye on. You can see that little notch right there, same thing kind of getting up into McDuffie County, too. So those are the areas we would have to monitor for the potential of maybe a brief spin-up tornado, and that's why all these warnings that are getting issued this morning do have the tornado possible tag. So that is included with the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for McDuffie, Columbia, Lincoln, McCormick, Edgefield, and McCormick County, Richmond County too, all of Fort Gordon underneath this severe alert. So these storms are racing quickly towards the east at about 50 miles per hour. And as Tim was mentioning, Rennes and Louisville right on Highway 1, even though you're technically not underneath the warning, we would likely see this warning extended into Jefferson County as kind of the next places that get placed underneath a warning. Same thing in Waynesboro. You can see you're kind of in the gap between these severe thunderstorm warnings as well, but we would likely see this extended towards your area next. So if you're anywhere in Burke or Jefferson County, make sure you are monitoring this closely and be ready to react quickly in case you are placed underneath any type of severe alert. Swainsboro, we've been mentioning you down there in Emmanuel and Johnson County. Wrightsville, you're now starting to see the worst of that weather, and they did extend it looks like they're not completely canceling that tornado warning, Tim, right there into Jefferson County, or they did cancel it, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like they did. So it was like we've been talking about. It's kind of hard to decipher, but we got to pay attention. But it looks like they did.
If you could, can you pause the radar for us, Tim? Right there. So these little notches, that's kind of the concerning part right there. Those little notches look very much like supercells, and that's where the rotation is happening inside that line, and that's where we would have to monitor the threat for maybe a quick spin-up tornado. And going to velocity, same general concept. You can see whenever the green is next to reds very closely and kind of bright greens next to bright pinks or reds, that's a good sign that there's some strong rotation that would be capable of producing a tornado. So that area that Tim is pointing at on the map right there, now about to be approaching Adrian, that is in southern Johnson County, and once again right on that Emmanuel County line too. So this is that part of the storm that is quickly moving off towards the east, and we're going to be keeping a very close eye for maybe an upgrade to a tornado warning possibly over the next few minutes. Just a wider look at the radar. This is the line that is concerning, so it's just kind of racing ahead of that main cold front that's helping drive this. So severe thunderstorm warnings now in effect all the way from Swainsboro up through Davisboro into Thompson and also up towards Clarks Hill Lake. And now the Augusta Metro is also included in this latest severe thunderstorm warning. So this is letting us know that 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts will be possible. So even though if there's not a tornado, we're still looking at some really strong straight line winds that will be capable of knocking down some trees. So if you're inside your home, make sure you are staying on that lowest, most interior part of your home. Never be upstairs in an attic or on that second level. If you have a basement, that's going to be an ideal place to hunker down inside this storm. Tornado watches in effect for every single one of our counties. So a tornado watch is letting you know that conditions are favorable for tornadoes to occur. Once you get placed underneath a warning, that means there is an imminent threat for a tornado under your location. So a watch is just letting us know, hey, stay weather aware. Know that there could be a warning that does get issued for your area over the next couple of hours. I would imagine by around 11 a.m., most of this rough weather is now east of the CSRA since it is moving so quickly. But these watches technically go in effect until 1 p.m., but likely won't continue a tornado threat through that time frame. That's the thing. It's the leading edge of this line that is most concerning. So once this line of storm activity does pass east of you, then you should be done with the severe weather threat for the rest of today. So it's really just tracking this really skinny line of intense wind and possibly even a tornadic risk. That's going to be the main concern moving forward. Swainsboro getting closer and closer to you. This line just passed through Wrightsville, now getting close to Kite, Swainsboro, Adrian we just had on the map as well. Midville, you're not too far away. So as we were saying, same thing in Wadley, all the way into Louisville. Those areas are going to be next in line for this line of storms to be impacting you. So here's just kind of a rough breakdown of the timing. For Swainsboro, you have about 30-40 minutes before it does reach you. Twin City, same general time frame. And Tim, with that bacon strip you just drew, is that for 50 miles an hour? Or I think it defaults to 35.
It probably does.
So maybe these times may be a little bit sooner than what that is hinting at, but I would say within the next 20-30 minutes, this line is going to be very close to places like Swainsboro and also Midville, Summertown, Nunez, and even Oak Park there in southern Emmanuel County too. That line does extend well further south of the CSRA. So anywhere underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, know that there is a tornado possible tag, and just make sure you are staying in that safe spot until that warning does expire for your location. It includes the southern CSRA and also the northern CSRA, and it's getting closer towards our central counties that like McDuffie, Columbia, McDuffie County, you're already seeing this line and likely producing some pretty strong wind. And Tim, I'm actually going to go look at the observations from the Thompson Airport and see if we can see anything that does show some really strong wind that just passed through McDuffie County.
Well, it's had a history of producing 50 or at least up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, so it will be very interesting to see what kind of winds you do pick up there. Heavy rain is extending up along 221 into the Clarks Hill area, and that's an area that's under a warned severe thunderstorm warning, so kind of right around the McCormick, the town of McCormick, Lincolnton, Parksville. Just kind of stretching it all the way down along 221, Appling, and then into the Evans area. Not yet for Evans and Grovetown and Harlem. It is just off to the west, that pretty significant line But these are all severe thunderstorm warnings that have the potential to produce a tornado. And it extends all the way down into Johnson and Emmanuel County, all of Emmanuel County under a severe thunderstorm warning. And this was an area within the last 30 minutes that had a tornado warning around the Dublin, Georgia area and along Interstate 16. Now, that warning was allowed to expire as far as the tornado warning, but not a severe thunderstorm warning. Any of these areas that are shaded in red, those are severe thunderstorm warnings, but they've been tagged by the Weather Service as possible tornadoes. We don't see any outlined severe thunderstorm warning polygons for any significant strengthening, but these have been holding together, so we don't really see any anticipation of this weakening right now because it's just continued county after county, starting off in far western Georgia and eastern Alabama at about 2 a.m. this morning. So we're in an environment that's very unstable. There's potential for rotation embedded in these thunderstorms. We've had severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings embedded in each other, which has been kind of a bit challenging to find those. But you can see those shaded areas all tagged with potential of significant thunderstorms, possible tornadoes embedded in there. But very heavy line of rainfalls coming through McDuffie County into the Thompson area and on Interstate 20.
So I was just checking in on the Thompson McDuffie Airport there and the observations. They just about 10 minutes ago recorded a sustained wind at 20, gust 26. But I also was just peeking into the National Weather Service chat. They said they were watching some rotation near Thompson, and they just triggered that latest tornado warning that is in effect for places like Deering, Fort Gordon, also Harlem. So
there we go.
If you live anywhere from the McDuffie State Ponds all the way to Fort Gordon off Wrightsboro Road, make sure you are getting into your safe spot right now. Get to the lowest, most interior part of your home. You are now underneath a tornado warning. So they have upgraded this. They were just talking about they're tracking some rotation that bears watching, and they just triggered that latest tornado warning that is in effect for southern McDuffie County all the way into southern Columbia and also western Richmond County. That includes Harlem. That includes Deering. That includes Fort Gordon and Grovetown. You're just on the edge of that as well. So make sure that you are anywhere inside. Make sure you are inside in that lowest, most interior part of your home to make sure you hunker down this storm. If you are going into your safe room, make sure that you're taking shoes with you. Make sure you're wearing shoes. Also, if you have a bike helmet, baseball helmet, anything like that, make sure that you are taking those objects in you, protecting your head, and know that a tornado is going to be possible over your location. Tim, if we want to query that latest box on the tornado warning, we can kind of read. National Weather Service is saying there are multiple circulations within the tornado warning polygon. The strongest is between Thompson and Deering. So as we were just kind of indicating, that's what led them to upgrade that to a straight tornado warning. Moving east at 40 miles an hour, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. As we've been saying kind of on and off throughout the morning, Tim, if you are in a mobile home or a trailer, that is not a safe place to be inside of a tornado warning. So you need to make sure you are getting to a safe structure as soon as you can. Make sure that you are in a sturdy foundation home or building. If you have a basement, that's the ideal place to go. If you don't have a basement, get to the lowest level and the most interior part. So a lot of times that's a hallway closet, hallway bathroom, maybe underneath the hallway staircase, and hunker down there until this warning does expire. It is going to be moving east at about 40 miles an hour, traveling along that Wrightsboro Road corridor from Deering all the way into Harlem and Fort Gordon, and even Grovetown is included in that. So just make sure that you are staying safe and staying away from any windows and ride this out until that threat is out of here. So here's a look at velocity. So we're looking at the potential for some rotation inside this line, and we're going to have to keep a close eye on not just velocity, but also correlation coefficient. And Tim, I think this is a great opportunity to pull up our Harlem radar. That'll definitely give us some of the lowest scans, and we'll pull that up and see if we can see some better right there velocity. There you go. So that's definitely a lot better view. So this is from, and if we could pause that, Tim,
Yep.
right there. All right, so here we go. These are the areas of rotation we're watching. So this is from our Harlem radar site. Remember, we are the only ones with access to this Harlem radar site, and gives us the lowest scans around this part of the viewing area. So if you know anyone in southern McDuffie County, Columbia County, or Richmond County, make sure they know we are looking at some pretty intense storms that are capable of producing tornadoes, and making sure they are getting to that safe location quickly. And this Harlem radar definitely giving us a lot better views than the further away radar sites in Columbia and Macon. So this is why we have this tool to help keep y'all safe whenever these bad storms are occurring. And this is definitely giving us a lot better view, Tim, than what we just had from that Columbia radar site. And that storm track right there showing the rotation, and even if there's not necessarily a tornado on the ground at the moment, it is still producing some really strong straight line winds that could be in excess of 60 miles an hour. So that's still enough to knock down trees, and why we want to make sure that you are inside that safe location. So there is Deering. That rotation and really strong wind is getting closer and closer to you. So if you're in Deering, you should already be in that safe location right now. Same thing if you're in Harlem, you're going to be next in line. And since these storms are moving so quickly, at 40, even 50 miles an hour, it's not going to take that long for it to reach southern Columbia County and even Fort Gordon either. So those are the areas of concern, and this is why the National Weather Service did pull the trigger on a tornado warning. Definitely with these lower scans we see from our Harlem radar site, definitely pretty impressive view. And Tim, let's go over to correlation coefficient, see if we see anything different right there.
Yeah, just trying to gauge whether or not we've got put a stop on there a little bit more.
So what we're looking for, folks, is basically really low CC values. That could be a sign of debris that's being lifted up into the air, and the radar can actually pick that up, and that's a good indication that we would have a radar indicated tornado. Right now, this is a radar indicated tornado. This isn't a confirmed tornado, but with the rotation we're seeing and with these scans we're looking at from our Harlem radar site and also additional radar sites, we're looking to see if we can see basically a hole of really low CC values in the way of debris. So that would be highlighted as kind of that bluish and dullish gray color. That would be where we're looking at for the potential of maybe a confirmed tornado in that area. So I'm not sure why it's saying relative velocity. That should say correlation coefficient. But here we go. Let's go back to our radar site here. So this is just looking at our high resolution radar, and we are seeing that the potential for maybe some, obviously some really strong winds, but also we're watching rotation for the capability of producing a tornado here over southern McDuffie and also Columbia County. So anywhere from Deering to Harlem to Fort Gordon, that is the corridor that we have this current tornado warning in effect. And right now, looking at those different values on the high resolution radar, doesn't look quite as impressive as our Harlem radar site. So I think we really got to rely on that, Tim. That definitely gives us the better low-level scans. And that is the lowest scan we could possibly get. That Harlem radar site is just about 15, maybe only 10 miles away from where that really intense weather is happening. So we'll go back to that. I would say we go back to the velocity signature on Harlem right there.
Okay.
Yep. And then we'll pause it and just kind of zoom in. And yeah, that's definitely a pretty impressive view right there. And that little notch right there on the McDuffie and Columbia County line, that would be my biggest area of concern right there, definitely just north of Deering. So that is also getting close to I-20, Tim, not too far away
that's
either.
That's south of I-20, yeah. That's riding a lot of southern McDuffie and what will be eventually Columbia County for sure. So stay off of Interstate 20, even though we don't see it kind of causing a threat north of I-20. Just stay off of the McDuffie and Columbia County area 20 right now. And
this is the Appling-Harlem radar, or Appling-Harlem highway right here. So between Harlem and Appling, and this is where that rotation is quickly approaching. So this is anywhere from around exit 180 on I-20 all the way into about mile marker say 170.
Yeah, probably 170, 172 in the Thompson area.
Yep. So anywhere traveling westbound eastbound on I-20, you're going to be racing into that storm of concern, and I would definitely try to get eastbound if you can and stay away from this storm system. But right near Harlem, we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like they may have extended that maybe in one of our southern counties. Tim,
yeah, Jenkins County, Screven County, that's been extended right there. So we'll
Okay.
kind of take a quick jog down here, even though we'll have to switch the radar site a little bit more. So apologies for that.
But this is definitely the most active thing we're looking at right there in Thompson County. That's where that tornado warning is in effect. But we had a new severe thunderstorm warning that is now including Jenkins County. So places like Millen, you are now underneath the severe thunderstorm warning too, and they are continuing the tornado possible tag. So just make sure you're continuing to stay weather aware and treat these severe thunderstorm warnings with urgency. As we just saw up in McDuffie County, all it took was one scan to show a little bit stronger rotation, then instantly it goes to a tornado warning. So that's what we currently are tracking right here between Thompson and Grovetown and even Fort Gordon. You are underneath a tornado warning. We're using our Harlem radar site just a couple miles away from this intense line that is quickly approaching, and definitely seeing some really good velocity signatures. So I'd imagine we are seeing damage in portions of McDuffie County, if not from a tornado, most likely from really strong straight line winds. So this is something that is likely producing damage, and definitely want to make sure everyone is staying inside and staying safe away from that threat. If you have really tall pine trees or big oak trees near your home and you know where they're located, try to stay away from that corner of the house. Know that the potential for trees to come down or big limbs to be blown around will be possible. So we want to make sure everyone's staying away from the second story of your home. Get as low as possible, and in the most middle part, put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as you can. That is where you're going to be safest, and that's going to be the best place to ride out this storm. This is now reaching our Harlem radar site, so it may be a little bit tougher to get a clear picture. This is an X-band radar, so it has a little bit of difficulty seeing through really heavy rain. Not quite as efficient as our S-band radars from the National Weather Service radar sites in Columbia, Macon, Peachtree City, and Charleston. But since this was approaching our Harlem radar site, we really got those great low-level views of that intense wind that was passing through the area. But now that it's on top of the radar site, maybe a little bit tougher to decipher exactly what this storm is showing.
Yeah, so if you are on interstate, you definitely don't want to get out on Interstate 20. A lot of the tornado warned area is south of I-20, McDuffie, and extending into, it looks like, portions of western Columbia County. It kind of goes through the Grovetown area as well. We've had tornado tagged severe thunderstorm warnings. That is that entire shaded area. Outside of that, you see that hazy shade of, it almost looks like a pollen color. Well, that's tornado watch. Every county in our viewing area in the CSRA is under a tornado watch right here around the metro until 1 p.m. But it's not going to take any time at all for this line of storms to continue to move on through. So more and more severe thunderstorm warnings are coming across here as we speak. It looks like the newest one coming in until 9:15 for Emmanuel in Johnson County in our southern half of the viewing area. So a very busy morning in major metro areas now of Augusta. So stay off I-20 in the McDuffie, Columbia County area, Richmond County area, because that is where this line is continuing to quickly move off toward the east. And it's been moving about 50 miles per hour. We'll kind of put it in motion right here and show you what's going on over the last 3 hours. I'll put it and kind of stop it here within the last hour of what we're looking at. This is kind of coming from our Harlem radar site, and it's right on top of it. So we're definitely looking at more of the significant thunderstorm activity and possible rotations. Almost looks like we're starting to see a little bit more and more of that kind of down and south of the Harlem radar site, Riley.
Definitely so. And I was just checking in on the National Weather Service. They say just about 3 minutes ago, they were saying circulation still looks really good north of Deering and Harlem that we were kind of showing from our Harlem radar site. And I think that's still doing a great job of showing those kinks in the velocity field. And Tim, we'll just kind of pause that right there. I'll kind of highlight it real quick. But
sure.
We're checking in on the National Weather Service on our phone. But right there, right now approaching the Columbia and McDuffie County line, getting closer and closer to the Appling-Harlem Harlem Highway in Harlem, you are right next in line. This is approaching you very quickly. So anywhere in Harlem, you should already be inside that safe spot, and make sure you are just staying in that location until this storm does move east of you. This tornado warning will still be in effect over the next 15 to 30 minutes. Next in line is going to be Berzella and also into Fort Gordon. Grovetown, you're right on the edge of this tornado warned cell, and since you are close enough and since that best rotation is kind of on the northern end of this warning, need to make sure that you're in your safe spot as well until this warning is allowed to expire. Deering, you just saw the worst of that storm pass through. I'm sure north of Deering you had some really intense wind that likely did most likely cause some damage, unfortunately, across the area. So this is why we were issuing that first alert yesterday, letting you know that, hey, it's going to be this morning that we are going to be tracking some pretty intense thunderstorms out there. And this is just going to continue moving east across the area over the next couple of hours. Since this is right now on top of our radar site in Harlem, it's a little bit tougher, Tim, to kind of see all too much. But I would say that velocity field definitely still looks pretty impressive and is able to see that. I've been looking around some of our tower cams across the region. We do not have a tower cam in Thompson, but there is a Georgia DOT. But I think Thompson right now, you've already kind of seen the worst of the weather pass east of you. So I'm going to try to pull up some Georgia DOT cameras and see if we can get some view of this line approaching the Augusta area.
Okay, I'll keep you going here with this tornado warning that is continuing in some of our major metro areas across the McDuffie and Columbia and Richmond County area. That's where we've got the most significant possible rotation. So if you're in the Harlem area along 221, stay off 221 and I-20, even though that warned polygon is just to the south of Interstate 20 here. I'll kind of point that out. This is kind of where we're seeing that tornado warning, and it's kind of involving severe thunderstorm warnings as well. So that polygon includes about a tri-county area here, McDuffie, Columbia, and Richmond County. Anywhere around Harlem and Deering, 221, Appling, you definitely need to be in a safe place. It looks like they've confined that tornado warning and updated it here a little bit more. So we'll kind of go in and show you what's going on. Tornado warning until 9 a.m. Severe thunderstorm warnings until 9:30, which is including Burke County, southern Richmond County, all the way down into 9:15 into the Jenkins County area. But the most significant now and most severe aspect of the storms is back here closer to the McDuffie, Columbia, and Richmond County lines here. So I'll go back out and get that track going a little bit more and show you some of the areas where we're showing a little bit more of the significant aspect of this storm. So we'll get down a little bit close. This is just involving our Harlem radar site.
Picking up on some really intense reflectivity right there. So, I mean, torrential rain, even if there's not necessarily a tornado on the ground, it is most likely producing some really strong wind that's able to mix down in some of this heavy rain. And we are going to be, they still have this tornado warning in effect, and there's still some pretty decent rotation. Looks like they trimmed it back just a little bit, so they have updated this. But what this is letting us know is that they did trim it back west of Harlem, but the thing is they are continuing it up ahead of this storm system. So they're not ready to drop this tornado tag, and it looks like there is still enough of a signature to potentially show a tornado that could be possible inside this. It's still a Doppler indicated tornado warning. What that means is that we see rotation on the radar. We don't have confirmation that there is a tornado on the ground, though, but it is going to be capable of producing that, and that's why the tornado warning is in effect. So, actually, Tim, let's go see if we can possibly pick up our, let's see right here. So we'll go back to relative velocity. This is using the Columbia radar site right here, and it's tougher to see just because it's a little bit further away. But we'll go back to CC real quick. You can see it's just tough to see. With that really heavy rain right over the radar site, it's just a lot more difficult to see what's happening, since this is a little bit different radar than what the National Weather Service radars do show. But I'll bounce around some of our tower cams. We're kind of keeping an eye on this. This is looking westbound down I-20 from our Wheeler Road camera, and you can see the dark skies in the distance. I wanted to show you this up towards the lake. You can see the wind blowing around our camera. We got white caps on the lake, so this is where we did have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect up towards Lincolnton and McCormick County, and still seeing some pretty strong wind up there towards the lake. This is a live look near downtown. We have this pointed towards that storm that is approaching Fort Gordon and also southern Columbia County. This is from our SRP Park camera. You can see some pretty ominous looking skies. And then this is actually from our Beach Island camera. And this one is what we're going to be keeping a very close eye on as this does approach the Augusta Metro. This will give us a good large vantage point of this line as it does approach the Augusta area. This is from our downtown Augusta cam. Not necessarily able to see a ton, just kind of dark skies on the horizon. And this is from our camera outside our studios. So once again, this is unfortunately is impacting a time frame when a lot of us are on the roadways. We're trying to get to work, we're trying to get to school, but know that there is some very active weather on the way, and we do have a current tornado warning that is in effect for portions of Columbia, Richmond, and even McDuffie County.
We'll get back on that here in just a second as we pull the radar site up. So anywhere along the McDuffie, Columbia County line and to I-20, 221, stay off that and stay off Highway 25. Now, just south of the Augusta area through Waynesboro all the way to Millen, because that area, even though it's not tornado warned, is severe thunderstorm warned, and that's quickly moving off at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So we're talking about strong straight line winds that are kind of moving through the Swainsboro and Louisville area. This has been the extended line that goes just outside of Emmanuel County down to I-16, also into the Vidalia, Georgia area, but then you extend all the way up towards parts of the metro here of Augusta. That's where we've had a history of around the Thompson area. Where we've got that tornado warning kind of embedded underneath it all. So we'll go back to the Harlem radar site a little bit more. And that's where the tornado warning is encompassing. A lot of the Harlem, Grovetown area, as we move on through, it is currently 8:48 here with this, again, tornado warned storm. And this is in effect until 9 o'clock. So we still have about 12 minutes of this tornado warning. But just keeping in mind, this has been continuing to get reissued over the last 2 hours outside of our viewing area, now through a lot of the central and southern counties of the viewing area where we have this tornado warned storm here. So history of producing strong straight line winds. And we're going to continue to stay on top of this one as well. Put a little bit more of a track on here and just show you where the most extensive line is going through some of the major metro areas. So the Brazelia area at 8:51, so in about 2 minutes. The Grovetown area, 8:56, but could be on top of you at any time. So good idea to stay indoors as long as we have this tornado warned complex in the area. Fort Eisenhower, 8:58, so less than 10 minutes, and then 9:01 in the Bel Air area. So along and south of Interstate 20 here with McDuffie, Columbia, and Richmond County, a lot of the major metro areas. And then I stress again, not a good idea to be on Highway 1 just outside of southwestern Richmond County, but also Highway 25 eventually could be impacted here. I'll widen it out just a little bit more between Gracewood and Waynesboro. That's going to have a line of pretty significant storms moving through that area as well.
Let's go back to the regular radar, Tim. I think the Harlem radar site's just struggling with that heavy rain on top of it. But and actually, if you want to click Web 2 real quick, yep. And this is a look at our high resolution radar, and it gives you the quad or the quad box right there. So top left is reflectivity, top right is velocity, and you can see some really bright pinks, bright blues and greens. This is showing us that there is a really strong wind field with this, and those are showing gusts potentially 40 to even 50 knots. So that is confirming that this is a severe thunderstorm warning and capable of producing producing damaging straight line wind. So along with the tornadic threat, there is very strong wind with this cell. And I know we have a lot of weather enthusiasts across the area. Do not go outside and try to get pictures or video of this. Want to make sure everyone is inside in that safe spot. Get to the lowest, most interior part of your home. And I don't think I've said this over the last 10, 15 minutes, but if you live in a trailer or a mobile home, that is not a safe place to be inside of a tornado warning. You need to be in a safer structure with a solid concrete foundation. That is where you're going to be safest to ride out this storm. They've been updating this tornado warning and just continuing it all the way into southern Columbia County and also Richmond County. So if you're anywhere on Fort Gordon, make sure that you are inside in that safe spot as well and stay there until this warning is allowed to expire. We'll go back to just kind of our regular radar view right here, and we'll look at just how this line is really impacting most of the CSRA at the moment. So we are seeing, let's get rid of that. There we go. All right, so this is the latest scans coming through. We got our, I'll switch over to just mainly our Columbia radar site, get out of the Warner Robins since that's where we're really focusing. So here's just kind of a closer look. We have severe thunderstorm warning stretching all the way from Clarks Hill Lake down to Jenkins County. So every single one of our central counties is underneath a severe thunderstorm warning that is capable of producing a tornado. The one active tornado warning we do have is in Columbia, McDuffie, and also Richmond County. The worst of this line is now kind of pushed east of McDuffie County. So now we're really focusing on places like Harlem, Grovetown, and Fort Gordon. And anywhere on the west side of Augusta, you got some really strong wind that is trying to push your way. So just make sure that you continue to stay in that safe spot. And we are going to continue tracking this potential for some really strong wind. And just kind of looking at our radar site right here, Tim, you can see that line. Right, you can see just kind of the change in wind direction, and that's that gust front that is producing some really strong wind.
Ryder's been pointing out that really strong line of very heavy rainfall, but also strong to potentially destructive winds. And we've already had reports of damage back in parts of western Georgia from this same line since early this morning. This originated out of eastern Alabama at around 2 to 3 o'clock this morning, and we came on air. We just followed it all the way through, and it just continued to gain more and more strength as the hours went by. So we're continuing to watch the most significant line, which is affecting a lot of our major areas here along Interstate 20. You definitely still want to be off of I-20 anywhere around eastern McDuffie County, all of Columbia County. South of the interstate, this gets into the Grovetown area and also continues down into Jefferson County along Highway 1 here. So where we are talking about really a lot of this area may have not been included in a tornado warning aspect, but then we see that box that's so large and it is a red shading and it kind of has a little hatch diamond looking indications. Well, that's the possibility when the storm is that significant that it gets tagged by the National Weather Service as a possible tornado. And you can see that right there in the box below here. So we've got this severe thunderstorm warning continuing until 9 a.m. It's 8:54. But don't be surprised if this gets extended because the ingredients have held together. Yeah, right underneath it. So the warning, that's the tornado warning that's anywhere around 221. So Appling-Harlem Highway kind of leads down into Rennes, just outside of McDuffie County. So Riley's moving it around, and you can see just how large of an area. Burke County, Highway 25, outside of Waynesboro into Millen, the Garfield area, and even just about all of Emmanuel County is still under that severe thunderstorm warning with the possibility of a tornado. And there it really kind of shows you just how long and expansive that line is going to continue to be here. So it's 8:55, about to turn 8:55. We're back here just watching that most significant severe weather threat anywhere in the Harlem area along 221, Grovetown there. It looks like 278 that kind of leads into the Augusta area. Also Bath included in this tornado warning right there until 9 a.m. So a lot of our major metro counties, you definitely need to be in your safe place. Get in the most interior room and just stay put until this expires, which is shown right now to expire at 9. But if this gets extended, we will certainly let you know here. But anything else other than that, it has been a very strong to severe line of thunderstorms with the potential of producing significant wind wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. It's been a lot of the tags coming in from the National Weather Service, so it'll be very interesting to see what kind of damage we've seen from this line that's been continuing for the last, I'd say, about 5 hours now, out of eastern Alabama and western Georgia, and now affecting a lot of the major metro areas here in Augusta. So putting back up radar reflectivity, raining heavily here in the Grovetown area. Again, stay off Interstate 20 around parts of Columbia County. Raining heavily in the Evans area, although that's not in that tornado warning, but it is in the severe thunderstorm warning underneath a lot of that very heavy rainfall here. So Highway 1, 278, 221, still in that polygon of the tornado warning and moving very quickly between 40 and 50 miles per hour. So we've just kind of get a good idea now. We're looking at the camera, which is off the Wheeler Road in I-20 area. So coming down pretty heavy with some rainfall, Riley.
Definitely so. I was just kind of peeking at this camera, Tim, now starting to impact the western Richmond County. So this is our Wheeler Road camera just off the Wheeler Road exit near I-20. You can see cars moving at the bottom of your screen. That is I-20. Cars closest to us are traveling westbound. Furthest away are traveling eastbound. So this is looking into that storm, and that's some pretty good wind that is starting to gust across western Richmond County. And this is the threats that the severe thunderstorm warning is highlighting, that we could see 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and definitely want to make sure everyone is staying away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as you can. If you have any large trees around your home and you're worried that they could come down, make sure you are staying away from the second story of your home and just get as low as possible. That is where you're going to be safest. Definitely don't want to be outside in this. Here's a different view from our downtown Augusta cam. I'm going to try to point this towards the medical district, and I think that would give us a little bit better view of potentially seeing this storm. So you can see a little bit different vantage point right there, but there's a look from our camera, and you can see just the very ominous skies in the distance looking further west down I-20. So definitely looks like a pretty healthy line from our camera view. Looks like there is a little bit of a shelf cloud there, a good indication we have some strong, we have a strong gust front ahead of this storm that is producing that severe wind, and something we're going to have to continue watching, getting closer and closer towards the Augusta metro. There's a look up towards the lake. They've really seen already the worst of this line. We had some white caps earlier, and the wind was definitely a little bit stronger just about 15 minutes ago or so, but still some pretty impressive conditions out there as it now gets closer and closer towards us here in Augusta. Looks like we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning. We'll go back to the radar network and see exactly what that is highlighting. So here's a look once again at the radar map, and they just extended that into Aiken, Edgefield, and all of Richmond County as well. So this is the newest warning that just got put out, and you can see since it's highlighted in red, well, that means they are going to continue that tornado possible tag. So this is really what we've seen across many warnings so far this morning across the area. So here's a look at the latest one. Tim, I believe this would most likely be moving still at about 40, 50 miles an hour. So Aiken, you have roughly about 30 minutes before this line is starting to reach you. Notice how the threat says tornado possible. So even though this is a severe thunderstorm warning, there is going to be the potential to see some rotation tighten up inside this line, and that would be capable of producing maybe a brief spin-up tornado. So that is why they did issue that tornado warning earlier in McDuffie and also Columbia and Richmond County. We'll see if they extend that. It doesn't look, it's right now getting towards the end of that tornado warning, at least the concerning part of that line. So we'll see if they do potentially extend it, or I would imagine since they just put this out, Tim, they're most likely thinking we're going to transition this to a severe thunderstorm warning with that tornado possible tag instead of just a straight tornado warning. But this will be in effect until 9:45 a.m. Time check right now, just about 9 a.m. at the moment on the dot. So there you go. They just got rid of that tornado warning there, thankfully, in Columbia and Richmond County. But don't let your guard down, folks. I would say this line has just been kind of going through cycles to where sometimes it's producing strong straight line winds, and then there's just a little kink in that line that's able to tighten up some rotation, and that's where we've seen a couple of tornado warnings already issued across the area. So that's the threat we're going to continue watching as it does move through the Augusta metro, North Augusta, Belvedere, Clearwater, Burnett Town, Langley, all the way down down that Augusta-Aiken highway towards downtown Aiken. So anywhere from Augusta to Aiken, you are underneath a severe thunderstorm warning for that potential of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and even the threat for maybe an isolated tornado somewhere inside this line. It also extends all the way up into Edgefield, so all the way up the Edgefield Highway, up Highway 25 into Peach Country, into Saluda County and Newberry County too. So really the entire central and eastern CSRA is underneath this severe thunderstorm warning that just got issued. And further south, we still have active severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Burke County, Jenkins County too. Waynesboro, you likely just saw some pretty intense wind as that cell gets closer and closer to you. Same thing in Midville there in the southern part of Burke County. And then Millen, it's going to be heading your way next, getting closer and closer to Highway 25 down there in Jenkins County. And you can see some pretty good reflectivity on radar. So with that heavy rain out there, we're likely able to mix down some pretty strong wind with it. And these type of cells, Tim, those have been kind of the concerning ones we've been having to monitor that have been showing signs of rotation at times so far this morning. So even in Millen, in Waynesboro, Sardis, Girard, make sure you are staying updated on this and have a quick place to get to that is safe in case you are placed underneath a tornado warning. I actually want you to treat this severe thunderstorm warning like it's a tornado warning, just to be on the safe side. Just make sure you are in a safe location, not going outside, not going upstairs. If you have a basement, that's ideal. A lot of us don't have basements here in the CSRA, so just get to that lowest room inside your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. A lot of times it's a hallway bathroom, a hallway closet, maybe underneath a hallway staircase. Those are the places that are going to be safest whenever this bad weather is impacting you. We're starting to see the leading edge of this line now reach us here in the Augusta Metro, Tim. I would imagine many of our tower cams are likely showing some pretty intense weather out there.
Yes, they are. And just to kind of keep in mind, this severe thunderstorm warning that was updated you're talking about goes until 9:45. So just a little less than 45 minutes. It's 9:02. It's moving east between 30 and 40 miles per hour. And the hazard's been mainly those strong wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. So, yes, we'll put up, again, some of those camera views. Here's a look at the Wheeler Road camera. If you want to cycle through,
I'll kind of bounce around some of these.
I'll go through and put on one without a banner on it here, so we can
see some of the pine trees swaying around a little bit. Here we'll bounce around to our medical district camera. I'll turn this around to Walton Way right here, and you can definitely see some pretty ominous looking skies. That's kind of that shelf on the leading edge of that line, so a pretty good view of that. And then from our tower cam,
coming down hard.
Coming down hard, absolutely. And man, really low visibility, just a sign of how torrential that rain is. So I mean, if you're driving on I-20, you probably can't see that far in front of you. It's acting like a dense fog out there. Keep an eye on our flags out in front of our building. You can see they are basically parallel with the ground, so definitely some pretty strong wind. We actually have a observation site on top of our roof, and that one's not necessarily showing super strong wind at the moment, which is good news. We like to see that.
Yeah, that's good, unless it's gone, but I don't think it is.
Right.
It's still there.
Going back out towards SRP Park, this is a look at that, and then from our Beach Island camera, and I think this one's definitely going to give us kind of the best views of what's impacting areas around the Augusta Metro. But you can just kind of see that darker cloud base that's getting lower and lower to the ground, and just sign of that line starting to push through. Sorry for the moving cameras around, but we're just trying to scan the skies in real time right here and trying to see if we can get a good view of what's happening with this line here around the Augusta Metro. But I think our Wheeler Road cam, honestly, was kind of highlighting it the best. Definitely. I'm going to turn this and kind of push it a little bit different direction. See if we can see something a little bit different. So you definitely see kind of what looks like kind of squalls that are pushing through.
Oh yeah, it's probably some pollen mixed in with that heavy rain right there. So in one aspect, yes, it is cleaning the pollen out, but obviously our biggest concern is the severe aspects. So we did see the tornado warning allowed to expire from the Weather Service. So in a way, that's good news. But each time they reissue that severe thunderstorm warning, they still keep it in that shaded red box area, which still includes a tornado possible. So that's still why, even though they've dropped the tornado warning polygon, we want to treat these as a possible tornadic thunderstorm here. So very heavy rain, still a good idea. If you don't have to get out on I-20, it's a good idea to stay off Interstate 20 here. So we'll come back and try to get some of the better radar view activity within the last 3 hours. Let's turn off that.
I just got a text him from one of my buddies. He was saying he was watching us, but actually just got done driving from Harlem straight down I-20, and he said it did get very sketchy. So he was just want to let people know that line's definitely producing some pretty strong wind out there, and no surprise that we do have the warnings as well. You can
yeah, I'm trying to get that.
I think that one is the one I saved that doesn't have the lake wind advisory right there. We are starting to get some more reports, and folks, we're live on air, so it's tough for us to really keep up with any Facebook comments or anything that y'all are saying out there. We're really trying to focus on what's happening on the radar, keeping up with the National Weather Service. So if you have any damage reports or anything across the area and it's safe to relay those, very easy to submit pictures and videos through our weather app and also our website. That's going to be the best way to send those reports in, and we'll go straight to our newsroom. So people working in the newsroom right now can definitely come in and say, hey, we're getting these pictures in from XYZ, and that's going to be the best way to kind of relay those messages to us, because Tim and I are up here mainly looking at radar. I wish we had a better way to kind of keep up with Facebook comments and everything like that. But just know if you're anywhere in Edgefield, Aiken, Richmond County, you are underneath a severe thunderstorm warning. This storm is quickly racing off towards the east, and if we could query that, Tim, we'll kind of read the text that is included from the National Weather Service. I believe it would be moving at about 40, 50 miles. Okay, actually slowed down a little bit.
Yeah,
so
it's
moving
going to
east
30.
at
So that's, yeah, it was 50. Not a lot after when you said, and it came across, it was at 50 and then moved down to about 30. So we'll try to move this out of the way a little bit more and just kind of give you an idea. I'll query it back up.
Yeah. So downtown Aiken, you're still dry right now, but that line is quickly moving your way. This is now impacting us here around Augusta. And I could say, looking at our tower cams, we do see torrential rainfall that is looking like blinding rain. It's tough to kind of see too far away out ahead of this camera view that we're looking at. And there are just these squalls that are kind of passing through at times that are indicative of just those strong wind gusts that are occurring across the area. And now, Tim, definitely seeing our camera shake around a little bit more here at the station and our studios. So here's a live look outside of our building. You can see some pretty heavy rain, and also just kind of shifting the camera around. I'll check our weather observations station again, see if it's showing anything different. Looks like we just got about a 20-mile-per-hour wind on top of our building. So that would be sustained wind, likely some stronger gusts out there too. So just want to make sure that anywhere around the Augusta Metro, you are staying safe. And Tim, I'm looking down at the roadways, and man, I would hate to be a truck driver right now, because
high-profile vehicles.
High-profile vehicles. I mean, you think of school buses too. Hopefully our school buses are already parked and have already delivered our kids to school out there. But those truck drivers, if you are going to be on the roadways with these strong storms, we encourage you not to be, but make sure you're giving them extra room. Their big profile can actually act like a kite and catch that wind much more efficiently, and we can see them definitely be shifted around and even tip over sometimes in really strong winds. So just make sure you're giving our truck drivers plenty of room to navigate safely if you are going to be on the roadways with these storms around. Going back to our SRP park camera, this is looking towards that storm right there, and we are going to continue just kind of shifting this camera around so you can kind of see the difference where that heavy rain is and where there's still a little bit of the light of day. So this is getting closer and closer. I'd imagine our SRP park camera is kind of next in line to see some pretty strong wind, and you can see the looks like the flags there on the Taxslayer Terrace right there in right field blowing around, and those are likely going to start showing a lot stronger signs of some wind out there. And going back to our This is our downtown Augusta cam looking up towards Walton Way, and you can't even see the Partridge Inn or Bel Air anymore, or the Bon Air anymore. I mean, it's just completely disappeared. So usually we're able to see up Walton Way to the top of the hill, and that's completely taken away with the strong wind and heavy rain that we are seeing impacting the Augusta Metro. So a live view from our downtown Augusta camera of kind of the conditions impacting downtown Augusta right now.
Yeah, I'll quickly just tell you, I was chatting with my brother, who's a teacher over at Columbia Middle, and they got down in the hallway. They were, again, heeding the warning that was coming across from the Weather Service and us. And so I've been chatting with him a little bit, kind of on and off with texts. Of course, my kids are in the Columbia County school system as well, and there have been bulletins put out from emails because of that tornado threat. So it's good to know that they took the warnings very seriously this morning.
And you know what we've seen over the last several years, Tim, is that whenever we have this bad weather, kind of some school systems will cancel school, and I think it's much safer for kids to be actually at school, at least for most of them, whenever this bad weather is occurring, because they have safe places in those schools. As you were saying, your brother and students were kind of hunkered down the hallway to where they are much safer there with adult guidance and able to get to the safe spot inside those structures, to where if, say, a kid was home alone because school got canceled, they would be in a much worse situation. So I'm glad everyone is safe there in Columbia County.
No doubt here. So just continuing to get more updates, and I'm sure if you've got our weather app, it's been going off like crazy. Just continue alerts and updates. It looks like, let's see, message from Columbia County, tornado warning issued 8:28. Well, it's 9/11, so that must be old.
That was from that older tornado warning. We did have a tornado warning that was in effect for southern Columbia County, McDuffie County, even Fort Gordon. No active tornado warnings at the moment, but every single one of these severe thunderstorm warnings has the tag that a tornado could be possible. So that's the thing with these lines. Sometimes we can just see some rotation tighten up at times, and that can lead to a quick tornado warning that does go out. I'm kind of scanning our high resolution radar at the moment, seeing some pretty intense wind around just past exit 5 in Aiken County on I-20, getting closer to exit 18 there, kind of near where the old Vaucluse Bridge was. In those exits, definitely seeing some really strong wind on I-20 up that direction. And then further south, we're keeping an eye on, I'm actually going to switch over to this Charleston radar site, Tim, get a better view of the storm in Burke County.
Go ahead. I'll just kind of, if you're listening, if you're not able to watch and you're listening, we're following the line, which still extends up through, I'd say, about Edgefield and Saluda County, through the metro area of Augusta, all the way down Highway 25 between Augusta and Waynesboro, and just to the north of Millen. That's where the active line and severe warnings continue. Every county that's included here in this red shaded box has the potential for tornadoes. Now, a lot of our western counties look to be in the clear as far as the most significant severe weather. So if you're listening to us here in Wilkes County, in areas like Lincoln County, along even McCormick County, probably just getting rain. It doesn't look like anything significant or severe at this point. So I'd say you're okay and in the clear. You're not under that warned location, which extends all the way, good grief, all the way to the upstate of South Carolina. So we're talking about outside of Newberry County, along Interstate 77 at the top of the screen, but along I-20, 520, and it looks like all of Highway 25. I'd say along Highway 25 in Augusta through Waynesboro and all the way down to Millen, that box is extending through your area. So with that line extending so far south and even into Statesboro, this is going across Interstate 16, it still looks like. So eastern Emmanuel County into Jenkins County is where we've got that line, and anywhere inside this line is shaded in red. Not necessarily a tornado warning, but we want you to treat it as so because it's been tagged and still continues to just get reissued for the threat of an actual tornado embedded in those thunderstorms. So we've got some really heavy rain. It's coming down hard between Augusta, east of Edgefield County. You talked about the Trenton, the Peach area along Highway 25 there. I-20 in Aiken County, western Aiken County, kind of between Aiken and Edgefield County line. Not a good area to be on the roadways right now. So it probably won't take but maybe another 15-20 minutes to be right on top of the Aiken area, even out towards SRS. That's where this line is going to be moving very quickly. So New Ellington, it's not there yet, or Jackson, but we definitely have some of the more significant rain and that stronger line of thunderstorms that's going to be moving off toward the east there, Riley.
Definitely so, Tim. And just looking at the higher resolution radar, still showing a pretty good velocity signature. I don't see any necessarily areas of really strong rotation inside that line, but definitely enough to produce some strong wind, especially along I-20 through Aiken County on the leading edge of that. I would imagine there are some strong wind gusts that may be up to 60 miles per hour, seeing some velocity signatures showing up to 45 to 55 knots. And we are going to continue to track that severe thunderstorm warning moving through Edgefield, Aiken County. For us here around Augusta, I would imagine that our wind is starting to lower some, still kind of scanning our tower cams here across the region. Still pretty breezy. And that's the thing, Tim, the severe weather threat is the leading edge of this line, but throughout the rest of today, it is going to be pretty windy. We actually do have that lake wind advisory in effect through this evening because we are expecting some gusts about 35 miles an hour. But looking at our Wheeler Road camera now, it looks like conditions have improved a good bit. So it's really just that leading edge to where you're going to see some strong wind. You're going to have that potential for just blinding rainfall, and those are going to be the areas of concern as it continues pushing east through the area. Kind of scan around from our Beach Island camera. I'll kind of give you all the view of what I'm looking at from some of our tower cams. So see some raindrops on the lens, and just kind of doing a quick scan towards the east. You can see what looks to be a shelf cloud up ahead of that, and a good sign that there is some strong wind trying to make its way down to the surface. So scanning around this direction, you can just see the ominous skies in the background getting closer and closer towards us here around our Beach Island tower cam there in Aiken County. But looking outside at SRP Park, here's a current look at it, and almost completely calm conditions right there, Tim. Not even really seeing the flags blow around there in right field. So just kind of as we were just saying, I mean, once the heaviest rain and leading edge is past your direction, then things should calm down. You'll still see some lingering showers out there, but it's really going to be up ahead of it is where we see the worst weather. So downtown Aiken, get ready. You got some gusty winds heading your way, and already starting to notice a little bit of rain in that direction too. So just make sure you're in that safe spot, staying away from windows. I don't see a ton of lightning with this line, though,
hardly
Tim.
any, which has been very interesting.
Yeah, and maybe that's a good sign of a little bit less energy, less instability at the surface to work with to produce the really significant weather. But hey, those ingredients aren't zero, so that's why we're continuing to track this and make sure everyone is staying safe out there.
Well, as we've been telling you, we're still continuing to track this severe thunderstorm warning. It's been affecting a lot of the major metro areas of Augusta over the last hour and a half, which at one point was tornado warned around the McDuffie and part of the western Columbia County area, around the Harlem area. Just kind of letting you know, we'll kind of back it out a little bit more. And as I was showing you just about a little earlier, those counties, if you're kind of in the Columbia County area on westward, you're not seeing a severe weather threat right now. It's just going to continue to be along and east of the line in Waynesboro and Burke County, east of Augusta, now moving into Aiken County, also stretching up into Lexington County, South Carolina, kind of outside of our viewing area, but still between Edgefield to Batesburg, Leesville. It's not a good idea to hop on 20 and start driving east on through Aiken County up through Columbia. Just give this a couple more hours if you can to let this pass on by. It's moving a little slower than it was earlier, now at about 30 miles per hour off toward the east.
I was just checking in on the Weather Service, Tim, and they're monitoring an area just north of McBean. Okay. They said tracking some rotation, not too strong just yet, but that could be kind of the next area we really have to keep an eye on. So that's just south of 520 between Gracewood and McBean. We are looking at some pretty a decent signature there with the potential of maybe some rotation that is trying to tighten up a little bit. So let's do this, Tim. Let's see if our Harlem radar site can is looking a little bit better now that that heavier rain is away from the radar site. Yep, you had it right, right there.
Velocity?
Yep, velocity. Yeah, so that Harlem radar site definitely, man, very beneficial, kind of giving us, that looks much different than kind of the signature that we were seeing there in from the Columbia radar site. But just pause it right there, right, Tim, and I'll kind of point out where they were talking about. So you have Gracewood, McBean's down here, but this is the area of concern. So that little notch right there in the velocity field, that's a sign that there is some rotation. So that's about to cross over Highway 56 and move over the Savannah River into southern Aiken County next. So I believe it would be places around Spiderweb between Beach Island and Jackson, New Ellington. You're a little bit further east than that, but right there on Highway 56, that is the area of concern that the Weather Service was just highlighting that, hey, that's some rotation. It's not super strong just yet, but that's kind of the next area that we're keeping a very close eye on. But notice our Harlem radar site, these bright pinks, well, that is showing some really strong wind. And since this is a relatively low-level scan, a lot lower scan than, say, coming from Columbia, Macon, or Charleston, this is a good indication that we have some strong wind gusts that are pushing through southern Richmond County, northern Burke County, that just passed over Highway 25 and getting closer towards that 56. So did they just put out that tornado warning right there,
yep,
Tim?
They sure did.
There we go.
It does look like that's a newest issued, well, it was.
Here, let's see if I just got it on my phone.
Oh, yeah, it's up here in eastern Saluda County.
Okay, so up towards Lake Murray. Here, I have it on my phone. I'll let Tim adjust the radar for us, and I'll kind of read it out. So,
just a sec.
Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Ridge Spring or near Batesburg, Leesville, moving east at 45. This is radar indicated rotation. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged and destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. So this is a very dangerous storm right near the Batesburg, Leesville, and Ridge Spring area. So you can see right there in southeastern Saluda County, heading closer towards Lake Murray. So some locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Camp Kennard, South Shore Marina, Fredonia, Gilbert, Hollow Creek Public Park, Siesta Cove Marina, Hibernia, Summit, Murray, and Nice. This includes Interstate 20 between mile markers 44 and 48. So if you're anywhere in those locations that just got placed underneath a tornado warning, make sure you are getting into that safe spot. Get as low as you can in the most middle part of your home. Try to put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. That is where you're going to be safest, and definitely seeing pretty decent little notch right there, Tim. I can definitely see and understand why they did put out that tornado warning.
I'm going to go back and maybe put some velocity up there here, and we'll get an indication whether or not we're seeing that here.
Yeah, so it's that little notch right there. Pretty classic signature of some rotation happening right there just north and east of Ridge Spring, getting closer and closer to Batesburg, Leesville. Oh, yeah. And there you go. So, yeah, whenever we're looking at this bright green and bright red right next to each other, that is the rotation we worry about. So red is wind going away from the radar site. Green is heading towards the radar. So wherever we get that right next to each other, it's a good sign that is rotating. So that's kind of the wind field that's happening around that storm, and that's what's leading to that notch that we were just looking at on reflectivity. So this is the area of concern, and where we do have our newest tornado warning in Saluda County heading towards Batesburg, Leesville. There's Hibernia, Minetta. You're just south of that strongest rotation, but you're also included in that tornado warning too. And Tim is switching over to correlation coefficient right here. So this helps measure the relative shape and size of objects in the sky. Whenever we see a clear hole with these type values, that would be an indication of tornadic debris that's being lifted up into the atmosphere. So the potential is there for us to possibly see that if that rotation does get a little bit stronger. But at the moment, we do not see a tornadic debris signature. So that's why this is radar indicated at the moment. If we did have a clear correlation coefficient donut hole showing that debris lifted up into the sky, that would be a good indication that a tornado is present. We don't have that on CC just yet, but looks like with the latest scans coming in, Tim, it is trying to tighten up a little bit. We just saw those greens get a little bit brighter. So that is a sign that that rotation's trying to tighten up just a little bit. So want to make sure everyone in southeastern Saluda County between Ridge Spring, Hibernia, and Batesburg, Leesville, even near Minetta, make sure you are in that safe location. You are currently underneath our newest tornado warning that is in effect over the next 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay, coming back out with a little bit more reflectivity. Apologize for that. Oh my goodness.
All good.
A lot of things get reset here throughout this morning.
There you go.
And a lot going on here. So that line is still holding together. In fact, man, we go a little bit south of where that warning is, and we've got an extremely heavy line of rainfall pushing eastern Burke County. We get towards the Sardis area in Girard. Now, this isn't tornadic, but my goodness, you're probably not able to see with the type of reflectivity coming in this location.
Interesting, they haven't extended that severe thunderstorm warning into Sardis and Girard.
Yeah, because Burke County, a lot of Burke County is still under that. Let's get back up here.
Man, looking at the high resolution radar, there's a pretty good signature right there. I would say if you're anywhere near Girard, get to a safe spot right now, just with what we're seeing on radar.
I'll go back to
I'm going to switch over to the Charleston radar site, see if it looks any different. But I'm pretty surprised they haven't extended that warning into eastern Burke County. Okay, a little less threatening look to it once I switched over to the Charleston radar site, which is a little bit closer, but anywhere in Sardis and Girard, just make sure you're continuing to exercise extreme caution. I would be in a safe spot right now, just in case this is producing some really strong wind, and there were signs that there was some weak rotation happening near you as well. So just be safe there in Girard and Sardis. But this is the active tornado warning we currently are looking at from Ridge Spring towards Batesburg, Leesville, getting closer into the Columbia, South Carolina metro. That is the newest warning that we just got, and I'm going to switch back over to the Columbia radar site, Tim, and see if how that looks.
Some areas, Batesburg, Leesville. Current time is 9:27, so on top of Batesburg, Leesville, no doubt. Leesville, 9:33, and the Fredonia area, Gilbert, LC. These are some of the areas that are in Lexington County, South Carolina. Maybe you pick us up over the air. Maybe you're watching from the app, or again, just keeping in mind, folks that are in that area included in the tornado warning. So a little bit east of Ridge Spring, but not out of it. Looks kind of like Highway 1 that's running along into that portion of Saluda, and also Lexington County included in that tornado warning as well. But we still have a tornado or severe thunderstorm warning with the line that's still continuing east of the Augusta area. So it looks like downtown, most of 520, not really seeing any real significant severe threat. The line's moving east, but now pulling mostly into the Beach Island area. I tell you what, if we pull up Beach Island camera, we are probably seeing some, because that line is... So yeah, it's getting heavily rained on for sure. That's where, again, the line is kind of affecting areas in Aiken County, and this is from our Beach Island camera right now.
Looks like we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning. Let's check in on see where that is. So that is for Sardis and Girard. So Burke County, Barnwell County, Bamberg County, and southern Aiken County. So that area we're just looking at near Sardis and Girard, they did extend that severe thunderstorm warning towards y'all. They are saying 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts will be possible. It doesn't look like they included a tornado possible tag, which is good. But hey, treat these severe thunderstorm warnings with urgency. They are capable of producing some really strong wind, and no surprise that we just saw those areas in southeastern Burke County get placed underneath that newest warning. We'll switch back over to our radar site here and give you the latest look at that new severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect. So it is highlighted red, so it didn't say that in the text necessarily, but there you go, tornado possible until 10:15. That does include SRS. Also Barnwell, all the way down to Klein in Barnwell County. Bamberg, you're also included in this, all the way down towards Earhart. And that's a pretty good little Boeing segment we're looking at right there. So Sardis and Girard, I'd imagine you are seeing some pretty good wind out there, some gusts 60 miles per hour. And this is now starting to reach even SRS right there in western Barnwell County. So anywhere around the Savannah River site, I'm sure they are hunkered down and staying safe for all our workers out there. And then downtown Barnwell, you're going to be next in line. This is quickly moving your direction. Also, some smaller towns included in that would be places like Hilda. So, hey, Christopher, if you're watching there from Hilda, make sure you're staying safe and staying inside away from windows. I'll list out some more locations included in that latest severe thunderstorm warning. Barnwell, Bamberg, Denmark, Savannah River site, Sardis, Rivers Bridge State Park, Earhart, Hilda, Snelling, Olar, Klein, Girard, Govan, Savannah Riverside H Canyon, Savannah Riverside K Complex, Bamberg County Airport, and the Barnwell County Airport too. So remain alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once into the basement or a small central room in a sturdy structure. So that's the text straight from the National Weather Service warning that just got placed out for portions of Barnwell, Bamberg, and southeastern Burke County around Sardis and Girard. And Sardis and Girard, you're likely seeing the worst of that storm right this very instant. That cell is right on top of you and producing some pretty intense rain.
Very
and
heavy,
some wind.
very strong winds, as you can kind of see. You might have already mentioned it, how that's kind of giving a little bit of a Boeing effect. So those straight line winds pushing in behind that are pretty significant right there. Just kind of keeping in, my daughters are texting me, so I don't mean to be a little bit rude.
That comes first. That comes first.
No, we were going back and forth of what the schools here in across the area have been doing, and they did the right thing. They got in the safe place when the warning came across in portions of Columbia County, but just letting them know that they're clear. Most of the Columbia County, not all the Columbia County area. It's still raining, but we're focusing in on if you're not able to get to a television or hear us, or just hear us and not watch, we're kind of focused in on what is the tornado warning that's up there around eastern Saluda County, kind of leading into the western Midlands of South Carolina. Stay off of I-20. Stay off I-20 in Aiken County. Don't try to hop on and drive into Columbia at this point.
And Tim, I think the latest tornado warning that just popped out was just a continuation of the one in Saluda.
Yes.
It looks like there is a very small slither of Aiken County that is also included in that. So right at the northern edge, right where Saluda County meets the northern part of Aiken County. So there you go, kind of just outside of Minetta. Hibernia. And so some locations that are included in that: rural areas of west central Lexington, southeastern Saluda, north central Aiken counties, including the following locations: Camp Kennard, South Shore Marina, Fredonia, Gilbert, Hollow Creeks Public Park, Siesta Cove Marina, Hibernia, Summit, Murray, and Nice. So that's between mile markers 44 and 48 there in portions of Aiken and Saluda County. But for the rest of Aiken County, you're still underneath a severe thunderstorm warning that is capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds, and potentially even a tornado could still be possible, which is why we're staying with this, because the thing is, with this line so far this morning, it's not that it's been producing a lot of tornadoes, but there's just at times to where we get these little notches inside the line to where some rotation can tighten up, and that has led to a couple of tornado warnings across the area. So that's why we are staying with this and treating this with more urgency than, say, just a normal severe thunderstorm warning.
Very good thing to keep in mind right there. That's why over the last couple of years, they've been a lot of updates to actual warnings that we talk about. It used to be just a warning and not really showing any kind of differentiation between like severe storm warnings or maybe there's possible embedded tornadoes. So it really helps us, and we depend a lot on the Weather Service to keep us up to date, and that's, like you said, while we're sticking with this. I'll go out a little bit more, and it looks like most of our Georgia counties are not really under a severe threat. There's still a few that are lagging behind that strong line, but in the downtown area, kind of just raining. Probably still breezy. We've got a lake wind advisory and a wind advisory that is in effect from probably now. It was going to go in effect at 10. It might have gotten updated, but until 8 p.m. tonight, where we've got very strong winds behind this front, which eventually will get clearing later today. Falling temperatures, but also strong wind gusts up to about 30 miles per hour, or a little bit greater.
Tim, switch back to our high-resolution radar right here. I got the quad box back up, and I'm just noticing on the bottom left box, that's what we call NROT. That is favorable rotation, to where if we see a really clear signature with that, that can be a good sign that a tornado is possible. Well, that just really tightened up right there, and that's kind of lining up with the good velocity signature too. So that is just on the northeast side of Girard, about to cross over the Savannah River into portions of Barnwell and even Allendale County, just outside of Millet. So that's kind of the area of concern that I just noticed on radar right there, and possibly could be kind of our next warning that does go out. So that is an area that is currently underneath a severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag, and this is why they put the tornado possible tag in those warnings, in case there is, just at times we see a couple scans to where that rotation really does start to tighten up a good bit. And we are seeing that right now. Pretty textbook signature right there on the radar site. Now, luckily, this is over a very rural part of Burke County and also Barnwell and Allendale County, to where it's along the Savannah River, to where there's not necessarily a ton of development right there. But as it gets further east, it is going to be heading towards northern Allendale County, also southern Barnwell County, and that is the area of concern to where we are going to be watching closely. So Millet, you're not too far away from that. This is north and east of Girard, and it will be crossing the Savannah River pretty quickly, kind of bordering along SRS as well.
Well, we're at 9:36, staying with this, folks, again, up till at least 10 o'clock, when some of these warnings are at least showing they're allowed to expire, but that hadn't been the case. All we've continued to see is more and more of a continuation of the severe thunderstorm warning, staying tagged with the possibility of a tornado. And what Riley was just pointing out, a lot of the eastern Burke County area, kind of into Allendale County and Barnwell County. That's where we're really focused right now, when he was showing that possibility of some rotation within there.
I just turned off radar to give a little bit clearer view. I know it can get very congested, but all these storms are now moving into these locations, so kind of pushing away from the Augusta metro. Our threat for severe weather here around Augusta is ending. But downtown Aiken, you are underneath the gun. We can see that solid red box up towards Saluda County. That is a tornado warning that is impacting areas around Ridge Spring and also Batesburg, Leesville, kind of just outside of our viewing area into the Columbia, South Carolina television market. So moving away from the CSRA, but these storms that are currently impacting areas around SRS and also SRS in Burke County and also Aiken County as well. They're still capable of producing some really strong wind. And this Boeing segment that we're looking at down over SRS into Burke County, and it looks like Allendale County finally just got added into that severe thunderstorm warning we were just talking about. So Millet, Allendale, you are now underneath a severe thunderstorm warning with that tornado possible tag. This is the area we were just looking at that had that little bit tighter rotation. So if you're in downtown Barnwell or Klein or Allendale or Millet or Hilda, Barnwell State Park, near the Barnwell County Airport, you are underneath this severe thunderstorm warning, and I want you to treat it like it is a tornado warning, because tornadoes could be possible inside this line. So just make sure you are staying inside, staying safe, staying away from windows out there. And this is quickly moving off towards the east. We'll query this and kind of give you the latest text from the latest warning that just got issued. So you can see that tornado possible tag, that is still included in this. So this is in effect until 10:15 a.m. This does include also Screven County too. So we haven't mentioned Screven County, but you are underneath, and this will moving east at 55. So that one's really picked up steam, Tim.
Quite a bit. We've had some from 30 miles per hour up closer to the metro here, but now a lot of these are swiftly moving a lot faster here. So these are going to be on top of you. So you need to go ahead and be in a safe place here. As we've talked about, even though they're not tornado warned, there is a possibility of tornado within these lines. You're going to more than likely have significant, strong, straight line winds with this, because it's just been giving us indications that there's very strong winds, up to about 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with this area, that's mainly including a lot of central southern Barnwell County and almost all of Allendale County. It doesn't look so much like Jenkins. Part of northern Screven County may be getting clipped in there, but putting the track out there right now, kind of just showing it's about 940. So from Snelling to Barnwell, 942 to 948. In Allendale at 955. Fairfax just a little after 10 o'clock. So at least till 10. That's what this extension of this severe thunderstorm warning has been given through 10 o'clock. But this is moving 50 miles per hour. So be in a safe place. If you're in Snelling, Klein, Allendale, even though that time frame has given you maybe another 10 minutes, it's a good idea to just go ahead and be inside. Stay off the road. Stay off 301. 301, and also looks like we had some state roads included in there, like Highway 3 in Allendale County, kind of out in some really rural country of Allendale County. Those are areas you need to stay off of.
Just got a buzz on my phone of a new tornado warning. I'm not sure if they're just refining the one in Saluda County. Yes, they are.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
So that is now pushed out of the CSRA. So that now includes Newberry, Lexington, Richland, and Fairfield County, which is not our viewing area. So that letting us know that Saluda County, you are now clear of that tornadic threat. But Tim, man, I'm looking at this signature still for this Boeing segment down there in Allendale, Barnwell, sure, and Byrd County. And I mean, a really classic signature for some really powerful wind, and possibly even some really strong rotation that could be potentially dropping a tornado. So that is why we are emphasizing that the tornado possible tag is included with these severe thunderstorm warnings. So if you're over Millet, if you're near Millet or Martin in Allendale County, just make sure you are getting to that safe spot right now. You got some intense wind heading your way, and there is that possibility that a tornado could be possible too. I'm looking at correlation coefficient with it, and just look at the very clear signature on velocity right there.
Millet, yeah, for sure.
That is a really strong, powerful wind. And let's go back to our, let's see,
so it's picking up a little rotation in there. We haven't seen any verbiage from the Weather Service indicating that there is anything spotted, but more and more.
New severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see what that includes.
Still includes some of the, I think it's including some of the.
Okay, so that's
Augusta area,
Columbia Metro, and then further into Aiken County too, kind of the northern extent of that line. We were just focusing on in the southern and eastern CSRA. So just kind of continuing that downstream from where the current severe thunderstorm warning was.
A lot of the Georgia counties here around Augusta on westward. Wilkes County, we'll just kind of go through it. Western half the viewing area doesn't seem to have any more severe weather threat. From Wilkes, Tolliver, Hancock County, Warren, Glasscock County, even Emmanuel County, Johnson County. If you're in those locations, McDuffie County, no severe weather threat. That is finished up here. So mainly just focused in on a lot of areas east of Augusta. So from Aiken County into Edgefield County, and we were focusing in on Saluda County up there. It still looks like the easternmost edge of Saluda County seems to be in the clear, but moving just west outside of the viewing, or just east outside of the Saluda County area, closer to Lexington, South Carolina. So this is becoming more of a western Midlands of South Carolina area with that line, but then still raining very heavily in New Ellington, Windsor. Those are areas that are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Jackson, New Ellington, Windsor, Williston, eventually you'll be dealing with some probably very strong winds. the Snelling area, but a lot of concern with that line that's been bowing out. A very strong squall line. It looks like they've just tornado warned that now.
I was just about to say, Tim, I went to the Charleston chat, and they said they were watching that rotation just like we were, and no surprise, we got a new warning that just went out for that. So that does include Millet, Martin, and just north of downtown Allendale. And if you go back to our Web 2 right there, take a look at this. I mean, it is not too many times I've seen an
great looking signature for that rotation.
I have not seen an INROT signature like that in a long time. So I don't see necessarily a debris ball on correlation coefficient, that bottom right box we're looking at, but here, we'll kind of pause this. I'll kind of explain it a little bit more. So this is our high resolution radar, and right there, this is a product from radar that focuses on rotation that can lead to tornado genesis, and that is a very strong indication that we got some pretty intense rotation. That is right over Millet right now, and you can see how that red box is letting you know how it correlates box to box. So kind of lining up with where we do have that really strong reflectivity, and also lines up with the velocity signature. So as we've been kind of highlighting, red is air going away from the radar, green is going towards the radar. So right there is where we have that kind of spin going on and where that really strong rotation is. What we're looking at in correlation coefficient, remember, that's the product that measures the relative size and shape of objects in the sky. So if we see a debris signature, it would pop up as just a perfect hole with really low correlation coefficient values. We would see just kind of these bluish, grayish colors in a complete circle. That would be a sign that there is tornadic debris being lifted up into the sky. Now, where this is, we're using the Charleston radar site for this, and it is far enough away to where this radar scan is likely at least a couple thousand feet into the air above the surface, so not necessarily the lowest scan. So if this is kind of a low-level circulation that's producing a tornado, maybe that debris isn't quite lifted up high enough into the sky to be picked up by correlation coefficient. But just seeing this signature on velocity and also our INROT signature, that's a textbook example of some pretty powerful rotation to where I would not be surprised if we do have a tornado on the ground there in western Allendale County towards Millet, and just about to move north of Martin right here too. So those areas, want to make sure that you are in your safe spot. Make sure you are in that lowest, most interior part of your home. That is where you're going to be safest, and need to ride out that storm until it does pass east of you.
Very good information right there. So Allendale County, a lot of the focus just on that in the Millet area where we saw a pretty significant rotation. I just want to put a track on some of the other areas included that eventually will be, it looks like Baldock. Eventually this will be moving on into that location as well in parts of Allendale County. So from Millet on east, I'll put the track on there. So around the Martin area, it's 947. It's on top of you. 950 Baldock, Klein 956, and right around 10 o'clock, if you're familiar with the Hayes Crossroads area out there, and some of these really rural areas of Allendale County. And it really looks like it may just cross over Highway 3. Because that is moving quickly off toward the east. So anywhere along Highway 3 between Martin and Baldock, that's where we've got that potential tornado that was showing up here. Now, it wasn't confirmed, but it was showing some very good signatures right now and still kind of holding together right over the Martin area and east of Millet in Allendale County.
Definitely so, Tim. And another thing, kind of going back to how we necessarily couldn't see a tornadic debris signature on correlation coefficient, but since this storm is moving so quickly, I mean, remember, it's moving east at 55 miles an hour, so a lot of times that surface wind going west to east can kind of prevent that debris from getting very high up into the atmosphere for the radar site to actually pick it up. So that may be why we're not necessarily seeing a tornadic debris signature, but we have a really clear indication on rotation and with velocity too. So this latest tornado warning in effect for northern Allendale County around places like Millet and Martin. Downtown Allendale, you are not included in this tornado warning. but you are included in a severe thunderstorm warning. So you are still expecting some really strong wind there in downtown Allendale over the next 15-20 minutes. But the tornado warning is just north of you, riding the county line of Bamberg and Barnwell.
So Highway 125 and where it intersects with Highway 3, that really is kind of where this centralized location for possible rotation is being picked up here. A lot of Highway 3 mostly, but east of Millet, kind of in the Baldock area, if you're familiar with that, and I'm sure a lot of you are that are in Aiken or Allendale County. That's 125 and right where it kind of intersects with Highway 3.
And Tim, another thing about this is that with the way this velocity signature is lining up with radar, this would be completely rain wrapped. So you wouldn't be able to see the tornado, which makes it extra dangerous and makes it so people will not be able to see this since it is wrapped by torrential rainfall. But just a pretty textbook velocity signature right there. I mean, even if there's not a tornado, we're talking wind gusts at least up to 60 miles an hour.
And you pointed out a very, very important point. This is probably not even visible if it's rain wrapped. So there's extremely heavy rain around this one as well as a good Boeing signature indicating, if not a tornado, but very strong straight line winds. So I wouldn't be surprised to have some damage reports come in from that area along Highway 125 that was around the Millet area, Baldock, now moving along in that intersection of 125 and Highway 3 that kind of extends out just east into Klein. So eventually into 278 from Klein. You need to be in a shelter as well. Go ahead and get sheltered there because it kind of extends a little bit farther south, but the banding and the signature that's coming in kind of extends a little bit close up to what will eventually cross over 278 in Allendale County. But as you did say, Riley, is not affecting the town of Allendale. This is not affecting Allendale. Now, we may have some pretty strong winds and rain eventually, but right now the strongest signatures are coming in around the Baldock area in Allendale County, around Highway 125 and into Highway 3. Boy, just the tornado warnings and calls that are coming across the cell service are just going ridiculously nuts. But we're focused down on you folks in Allendale County right now. That's
Definitely
where we're
so.
Seeing most of the significant. If you want me to go back to what you're looking at there.
We can go back to that. I've just kind of been scanning the National Weather Service chats. Another thing that got issued about 30 minutes ago is a new mesoscale discussion from the Storm Prediction Center that highlights these areas we're covering, that the wind damage and brief tornado threat is going to continue through this morning as long as this line is out there. So it is starting to reach the eastern fringes of the CSRA. So I would say by the time we get to around 11 a.m., most of these storms are clear of the CSRA. And Tim, just kind of a wide look at radar. If you've already seen this line push through for your area, you're done with the severe weather threat for today. We still have a lot of lingering showers behind the main line, but it's going to be the leading edge of this that is producing those really strong winds and potentially even the threat for a brief spin-up tornado. So this is now starting to reach into central Allendale County, moving through Barnwell County, Aiken County as well, Wagner, Sally, Williston, and northern Barnwell County. You're starting to see this line get closer and closer to you. And then last is going to be Bamberg County. Once it's east of Bamberg County, then we're done with the severe weather threat for today. So I'd imagine, Tim, within the next 30 minutes to an hour, a lot of this rough weather is pushed out, and then we're just dealing with some pretty breezy conditions the rest of today. A lake wind advisory, even a wind advisory just got issued for some of our central Georgia counties, and that is for the threat of those gusts, 35, possibly close to 40 out there. So something, once again, even though the storms will be past, the severe weather threat will be done after 11 a.m., we're still going to be pretty breezy with this front passing through. And you can see they have trimmed our tornado watch just to highlight that, so we'll continue to see more of our counties be eliminated from the tornado watch as this line continues pushing east. But for us here in Richmond, McDuffie, Columbia, Lincoln, even Burke and Jenkins County, our severe weather threat is done. This is really transitioning over to many of our Carolina counties like Barnwell, Bamberg, Allendale, and also Screven County. You're still underneath that severe thunderstorm warning too, but that line is now starting to push further into Allendale County away from you. And Sylvania, you are not included in that warning, but Millhaven was, but that line is already pushing east of Millhaven, so once again, it's places like Barnwell. Barnwell, you're likely seeing torrential rainfall, have some gusty winds out there. Same thing in Klein. Allendale, get ready. That line is approaching you very quickly, and we are going to continue watching that threat for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts in places like Olar, Ulmer, Earhart, Bamberg, Allendale, Fairfax, and even further into Barnwell County, places like Hilda that are just kind of on the east side of Barnwell.
I'll put a track on there and kind of give folks a little bit of a time frame. Now, when some of these locations, you just mentioned all those locations, obviously it's 9:54, so Olar 9:59, a little after 10 in Fairfax, Brunson 10:06, Bamberg at 10:09, or maybe even a little bit sooner, because this line's moving 50, is it still probably moving
55,
at 50
yeah,
to 55 miles per hour, so it's booking. And then the Lodge area at 10:16. So it'll be on top of you before you know it. So it's a good idea to just stay in your safe place right now. And still that one kind of area that's under a tornado warning, which is about to cross into 278 in the Klein area, as I just mentioned a moment ago. This moved east of Millet. It doesn't look like, Millet, you've got any severe threat as far as we can see. Even though that tornado warning is not in the Allendale area, you're going to get some really strong gusty winds because that line is showing some significant bowing all the way. I'll just kind of move it over a little bit from the Snelling area. I'd say Barnwell, right on top of you, eventually down towards, well, it's east of Hiltonia. We don't see really any problem with you. But a lot of the areas in rural Allendale County, probably eventually into Barton, Fairfax, eventually probably within the next 15 minutes because this is moving so fast. So Klein on top of you, Barnwell on top of you with some very strong damaging winds possibly. So it'll be really interesting to see what kind of possible damage reports that we're getting from just straight line winds.
Yeah. And
then going back to the fact that we could have had possible tornadoes. You saw a lot of rotation with that one in Millet just about 15 minutes ago.
And you just mentioned Klein there in southern Barnwell County. That is a spot that is likely seeing some pretty strong wind along with really intense rainfall. That strongest rotation we were looking at in northern Allendale County. Latest scan that just came through does show that that rotation has weakened a lot from what we had just about, say, 5 to 10 minutes ago. So improving radar signature there, but still producing some strong, very strong winds, straight line wind damage there in Klein. I would not be surprised if we do have some limbs down, maybe a couple trees down too. Those gusts could definitely be up to 60 miles per hour, and that's why those severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. And same thing if you're in Hilda. The worst of that line is now starting to hit you, and you are going to see some heavy rain along with some gusty winds. And then after that, we're talking about places like Olar, Allendale, Bamberg, Earhart. Y'all are going to be seeing this line pass through you within the next 30 minutes or so. As Tim was saying, it is racing off towards the east, moving at about 50 to even 55 miles per hour. And it's that bowing segment to where we can really see wind mixed down efficiently inside that line. So that's the area of concern right now, and why why those severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. Now for Aiken County, up towards Wagner and also Sally, so places around Eudora Farms, they're kind of seeing the leading edge of that line pass through. The reflectivity values don't look as intense as what we're seeing with that Boeing segment down in Barnwell County, but still underneath a severe thunderstorm warning and could definitely have some strong winds out there. So I want to make sure you're staying safe up there in northeastern Aiken County as this line is pushing through.
Okay, there was the, what was earlier, the tornado warning in part of Saluda County is shifted off to the northern and western Midlands up between Lexington and Columbia, South Carolina.
They actually have a couple of them up there.
Yeah, there's actually two right stacked on top of each other. So east of Chapin, probably not seeing us there, although it's possible. But if
Lake Murray's always a hotbed for those.
Oh, heck yeah. Lake Murray will see some tornadoes. It's amazing up there. I'm going to bring it back down a little bit more because of where we were just talking about the strong line of potential tornadic activity and strong straight line winds. So from Barnwell to Klein to Allendale, along Highway 278 from Klein to Allendale, that's going to be an area that's seeing some really strong, significant winds right now. Straight line winds. 301, which kind of runs in and intersects 278 in Allendale County. Even still Highway 3, starting to push a little bit east of your area. So it looks like the whole line is kind of extending through a lot of Allendale County along Highway 3.
And Tim, just going back to the radar signatures around Barnwell with that line, starting to notice a little bit better rotation from our Columbia County radar, or Columbia, South Carolina radar site. This is in central Barnwell County. Notice these are the type of signatures we look at for the potential of maybe a brief spin-up tornado. Starting to see some really good NROT values here just south of downtown Barnwell. And if it's not a tornado, it is definitely producing some really strong wind. So that Boeing segment that Tim's been highlighting here over the last 10 minutes, it is capable of producing those 60-mile-per-hour gusts, which is enough to knock down trees, cause damage. So treat that with urgency if you're anywhere in Barnwell County, especially closer towards Hilda, all the way down towards Klein. Make sure you're in your safe spot, staying away from any corners of your home that have large trees nearby, just in case those are able to come down with some of this strong wind. Want to make sure everyone's staying safe in that safe room inside your home. And just a pretty textbook signature right there. You can see these values that I'm highlighting with the cursor. That is a sign of some really strong rotation, and it does line up with just really good velocity values. And I'll kind of query this, and this is showing winds over 60 knots, so possibly up to 70 miles an hour. Now, this is several miles away from the Columbia, South Carolina radar site. So this radar beam is shooting up at least 1,000 feet or more up into the atmosphere, so this is showing us the winds kind of well above the surface. But with the Boeing segment we have, the rotation we have, this is most likely seeing at least some of this wind make it down to the surface just south of downtown Barnwell, which is why that severe thunderstorm warning is continuing. And they are once again continuing the threat for a tornado being possible, because we do have some pretty strong rotation in that line.
Okay, we'll back it out here. Excellent information here. So the Augusta area, not under a severe threat. You're seeing heavy rain kind of still continue between Louisville and Rennes, not a significant severe threat. In fact, there's been watches. We'll kind of go back out and just show you the weakening of the severe aspects. There was a tornado watch for the entire CSRA, but those watches have been dropped from Wilkes, Tolliver, Warren, Glasscock, Jefferson County, Emmanuel County, Johnson, Washington, and Hancock County, no longer under a tornado watch. So it probably won't be long till some of our metro counties begin to drop off a little bit more, because the significant line of severe weather is mainly up east of Aiken, but now mainly just the Barnwell, Allendale, and Bamberg County areas where we're seeing more and more of that line of storms, and where we have continued to see potential rotation southeast of Barnwell. So very heavy rain, it looks like, still continuing along Highway 64 east of Barnwell. Probably very significant strong winds getting close to Hilda, and then eventually in Blackville and Denmark, South Carolina as well. 278, east of 278, we're looking at, again, some of those very strong winds, Riley.
Well, we just got a report into the National Weather Service from Aiken County. This is from their emergency manager, Tim. They say a tree is down in Aiken at Croft Mill Road near University Crossing. Near University. It's crossing high tension lines, and it's on fire, inaccessible from University, trying to track other damages and locations. So we are getting some confirmed damage from across the area, and that one is from Aiken County. Once again, Croft Mill Road near University. Looks like a tree is down on a high tension line that did catch on fire. So avoid that area if you can. And I would imagine we see more of these type reports come in over the next hour or so.
And this is part of that same line that's been moving through for the last 4 to 5 hours now. This is just held together. It's continued to remain strong in its path. whether or not actual spotted tornadoes, significant winds along with that. And we're going to be windy the rest of the day. Once this front finally moves on through, we'll finally see some strong winds. They'll just widen out the picture a little bit more. You can see where the impacts mainly are. So just a little bit left of some rain in Atlanta. That's not severe, but that front is kind of east of Birmingham at this point. So more likely by the time we start heading past midday, this line will be well out of our area. But we will see kind of that more significant severe weather threat continued to lessen the farther we get through. So we're at 10:04. We have not quite gotten out of our viewing area. Barnwell, Bamberg, Allendale County seem to be who are under the threat for maybe some strong straight line winds.
And Tim, another report here from the Weather Service. They say they're also looking at this rotation in Barnwell County. They say it is very strong rotation, just not tight yet. So we have to have that signature of it being really tight and lining up with a pretty classic velocity signature. So that is what we're looking at next, and kind of what we were just highlighting just a second ago, that the rotation is very strong there just south of downtown Barnwell, impacting southern Barnwell County and moving east towards Olar. So that would be the next area of concern to where we potentially could have our next tornado warning. So make sure if you're anywhere east of this line in Barnwell or Bamberg County, you have a quick spot to get to that is safe. As we've been highlighting throughout the morning hours, a trailer, a mobile home is not a safe place to be if you are underneath a tornado warning. So if that includes you and this line hasn't hit you just yet, make sure you have a safe structure to get to quickly in case you are placed underneath a tornado warning. So this is heading quickly towards Olar in the central Bamberg County, and that's going to be the area of concern that we're watching very closely here over the next few scans.
Yeah, and that's kind of rolling quickly east of Olar, if not right on top of Olar, but towards 301. So from Olar east to 301, and even it may just kind of clip just south of the Bamberg area. So kind of right on the fringe there. Stay off 301 and 64 where it intersects with 301, maybe even as far out as Earhart, even though that may not be exactly where that path is going to go. But the extended line continues to go down all the way through the Ulmer, Sycamore area, eventually 601 and 301, some of those major highways in South Carolina and parts of Bamberg and Allendale County.
Tim, if you want to switch back to Web 2 real quick, I'll just kind of highlight the area we're looking at that you have an eye on right there. So going back to our quad box of our high resolution radar, this is the really strong rotation we're seeing between Hilda and Klein. Next in line is going to be Olar and Govan. Those are going to be the communities that are going to be impacted by this line next, and already likely starting to see some rain from it. But take a look at how that rotation bottom left part of your screen lines up with some really strong velocity signatures. This is where our radar was picking up on velocities over 60 knots. So getting close to 70 mile per hour winds possibly right there on the Barnwell and Bamberg County line. So right now the rotation isn't tight. You can see how it's just kind of a straight line. If we had it in a kind of more of a ball shape instead of a line shape, that would be an indication that this rotation is really tight and could be producing a tornado. But you can see some CC spikes right here, and that most likely is from maybe some hail aloft into this storm. Remember, we're looking for a very clear circle on correlation coefficient to be a sign of debris, but right now it looks like this is just a really intense straight line wind event that is impacting eastern Barnwell County and moving into western Bamberg County next. So this is the area of concern that we have our eyes on. The National Weather Service also has their eyes on too, and this is something we're going to have to watch closely, and just make sure you are getting into that safe spot anywhere in Olar or also Govan as well, all the way into western Bamberg County.
Okay, very good. We're rolling past 10 a.m., folks, 10:08, and still kind of hanging in this because we still have that significant threat of potential severe thunderstorm warnings, possibly including a tornado. And Riley went right through it, talked about the verbiage that the Weather Service was watching for potential rotation in that. But that line is still producing some very strong straight line winds. East of Allendale now, looks like the strongest of the line is just off to the east of Allendale, but right on Ulmer, Sycamore, and Fairfax, and covers a lot of Highway 321, extending from Ulmer all the way down to Fairfax in Allendale County right now. So a lot of that's still under that warned location. Hilda, you've got some very significant heavy rain coming down. Blackville, Denmark, into the Sweden, South Carolina. So a lot of this is our Carolina counties, well east of the metro here of Augusta, what we're looking at.
Definitely so, and they just kind of extended the newest severe thunderstorm warning into Orangeburg County, but also includes Bamberg County too. So same threats we've been mentioning all morning. 60 mile per hour wind gusts look most likely, but there is still that tornado possible tag. So that's the concern, especially with the rotation we're seeing now moving through eastern Barnwell County. If it tightens up just enough, there definitely could be the potential for a tornado to form. And last couple of scans, Tim, I mean, not necessarily a huge difference, still a really strong velocity signature and also a really strong rotation signature too. And noticing that CC, I mean, it's showing a little bit of a spike right there. This is the Columbia radar site in Columbia, South Carolina radar site. I'm going to widen out this and see. Looks like most likely Charleston's just a tad closer. So I'm going to switch to that radar site and see if it gives us a little bit different view of what's happening.
So what Riley's got up is a quad box that's showing reflectivity in the top left. Also velocity with potential rotation gives us an idea to look in there on the top right. And then the INROT, which is also honed in a lot about what is going on inside that storm, rotation on the bottom left. And then we've got the correlation coefficient, which to you just looks like a whole lot of pixels. But when it starts getting a little bit more well-defined in some of those bluers or grays, it gives us an idea if there's any kind of size or debris being lofted up in the air. So we really get a good idea in different looks and scans and what's going on inside this thunderstorm complex, which is still showing some type of rotation in and around the Olar and Govan area. So a lot of those highways, major highways down in Allendale County and into Bamberg County, that's where we stay focused on this.
Tim, just continue to scan kind of the National Weather Service for any new updates. I'm noticing that when we first started our coverage early this morning, just around 7:30, we were tracking this line just west of the CSRA, but we had a couple of tornado warnings in places around Milledgeville and also Aiken, and seeing pictures of damage reports from Baldwin County from their EMA director. So Milledgeville looks like did get hit by some wind damage and possibly a tornado. So I would imagine we have these reports that continue to trickle in from across our area over the next several hours as people are able to get out and kind of assess the damage that did occur earlier this morning. But nothing necessarily too new here to report from the National Weather Service on what they're seeing from any of the reports there from the tornadic potential there in Barnwell and Bamberg County.
I'll kind of pull up the storm reports to see. Well, there's a lot. If this is current, not even close to where we are right now.
I did not recognize.
I apologize, folks. That has nothing to do with
There you go. So there's the couple of tornado reports that have already come in south of Aiken. We've had some wind damage reports confirmed right near Lake Sinclair, near Milledgeville, as we were just talking about. So we did get a report from the Aiken County Emergency Manager that there was a tree down on a power line that caught fire near Croft Mill Road. That's really the only report we've been able to hear about from us here in the CSRA. So if you have any damage around your home from this line of storms and it's safe to get outside and the storms have already passed you, feel free to relay those reports through our weather app. Very easy to submit pictures and videos that way. You can also do it through our website, and then we can relay that to the National Weather Service, because getting these confirmed reports and the ground truth from these storms really helps meteorologists understand, once again, what radar leads to happening on the ground. So if you have any damage reports around your home, you can submit those through our website or our app, and definitely helps with insurance too. If you need to make an insurance claim, once we submit that storm report to the National Weather Service, it will be documented in their database, so you can pull it up any time of day, any year. There you go, new tornado warning right there in Bamberg County.
Same spot you just looked, we've been focused on, right there in that Oler and Govan area, probably.
Yep.
That's exactly where that warning is starting. So it's hopefully you've already gotten in your safe place and shelter. That's where we're continuing to see that rotation come in. So we'll kind of put a track on that. I'll clear that off for what we're looking at. That's where the central rotation, it's kind of giving us a good little hook on a signature on that. So we'll put it off here, stretch it out a little bit more through that warned area. Midway, Embry, Clear Pond, 1020 to 1028. It's currently 1014.
And this is right over that highway between Oler and Govan. So those are the areas we've really been highlighting over the last 10-15 minutes. Want to make sure everyone there is in their safe spot. New tornado warning just issued from the National Weather Service, and this is Doppler indicated once again. So they're seeing the strong rotation we've been talking about, and it does look like that rotation has tightened up a little bit, Tim. It's not necessarily the straight line signature that we had earlier. Yep. Latest scan that just came through has it more of that ball shape, and it's lined up pretty good with that velocity signature right there. So no surprise, we do have that tornado warning now in effect for places like Oler, Govan, and all the way over towards just south of downtown Bamberg, including places like Clear Pond. And that is going to be crossing over, looks like Highway 301 and 601 also included in that warning. And man, Tim, that NROT signature, pretty
that's the most significant for sure that we've seen.
Yeah, that's the kind of a similar setup to what we saw for that tornado warning that was issued for Allendale County just about 20-30 minutes ago. So going back to our quad box, this is why they did issue the the newest tornado warning. Look at that, folks. If you were watching our coverage earlier, it was basically a straight line. Now it's kind of got more of that cylindrical and circle shape to it, and it's lining up perfectly with this velocity signature. So we got the bright pinks next to the bright greens, letting us know that there is that tight rotation happening. And what we're going to be looking at next is if we have any type of debris signature on our correlation coefficient. That'll let us know if any debris is being lifted up into a sky from a present tornado. Right now, this is Doppler indicated, so we don't have confirmation there is a tornado out there, but it looks like with the signature we're seeing on radar, it definitely could happen at any minute here. So I want to make sure everyone in central Bamberg County is in your safe location. Get to that lowest, most interior part of your home and just stay there until this warning is allowed to expire. It is, they did drop the speed of this, Tim. I just looked at it, said it was moving east at about 30 miles an hour, so not quite as quick as the 55-mile-an-hour movement we saw with that Boeing segment with the latest severe thunderstorm warning that was just pushed out. But this is pretty much as textbook as it gets right there, folks. Pretty clear indication of rotation and seeing a really good NROT signature, a sign of just some normalized rotation that is indicative usually of tornado genesis unfolding. So also lines up with just kind of the backside of this cell on reflectivity. So this is most likely a supercell with rotation happening at the base of it. So it's ingesting very warm, humid air, and we're seeing that really strong wind come down on the downdraft of it, and we can see that just kind of spin up that tornado potential. So radar's picking up on it. No surprise, we do have that newest tornado warning. Make sure everyone there in central Bamberg County is staying safe, and this is moving east at about 30 miles per hour.
Until 10:45. That's what Riley just went over. That entire warning that just came across where we see the most significant rotation in the Govan area, 301, 601. Get off them. Don't go on them at all east of Govan because that's the direction it's moving. Looks more than likely it's going to pass just off to the north of the Ulmer and Earhart area. But this is going to go until 10:45. It's currently 10:17, Riley.
And that's what I was just thinking about too, Tim. Downtown Bamberg, right there, just on the edge of that tornado warning. So if you live anywhere just south of downtown Bamberg, you are underneath that tornado warning and want to make sure that you are getting to that safe spot quickly. And as Tim just mentioned, just north of Earhart as well. So this is really central Bamberg County that is going to be crossing over 301 and 601. So if you live off any of those highways in central Bamberg County, make sure you just stay in that safe spot until this warning is allowed to expire. Just got a new scan come through. It does still keep that tight rotation right there. It looks like it's slightly lower values than that previous scan we just had, but still don't necessarily see a clear debris signature on correlation coefficient, but that normalized rotation is still lining up pretty good with this velocity signature right there. So a lot of times that happens in these we call it a QLCS, a quasi-linear convective system. Fancy word for a line of thunderstorms that has rotation embedded in it. And these areas of rotation can produce tornadoes. They may not necessarily be long track tornadoes, but kind of the brief spin up tornadoes out there. And that's kind of the threat we're monitoring with this line that is currently pushing through central Bamberg County. So just continue to stay hunkered down and stay safe out there.
All right, I'm going to switch over to some watches. I believe we just got some updates on a few more watches from the tornado watch that have been dropped off. It looks like Emmanuel and Jenkins County are the latest two. We still have in the central and all of our South Carolina counties the tornado watch that's continuing. So just wanted to let you know about that. Obviously, with the severe thunderstorm warnings that are continuing and with that tornado warning east around the Govan area, what we've been focused on a lot, because mainly Bamberg County and Barnwell County are what we're looking at right now, kind of east of the Barn. If you're in Barnwell, you're in the clear. If you're in Williston, you're in the clear. Allendale, just about all, most of Allendale County in the clear. I'd say all of Allendale County, you're in the clear right now. But from Bamberg to Earhart, you still have that pretty significant line of very strong straight line wind potential, and then the tornado warning that's embedded in that severe thunderstorm warning are continuing right now. So Clear Pond, looks like some of that rotation is headed your way. 601 and 301 east of Govan, along Clear Pond, and just outside of Hughes. On 601, that's just to the north. The warning does not include you and Hughes, but the severe thunderstorm warning does. It seems to just kind of be splitting the uprights between Bamberg and the Hughes area and Earhart, right along 601, as we kind of, again, shuffle around here. Denmark, some very heavy rain starting to move up closer to Cope in South Carolina. But please do not get on 601 or be on 301 yet, as we still continue to see a lot of that severe activity moving east at 30 miles per hour, where we've had a lot of significant rotation in that thunderstorm activity.
Definitely so. And just another storm report for you, Tim, and our viewing audience. In Trenton, South Carolina, near Bettis Academy School, there were reported trees down there. So that came from the emergency manager there in Edgefield County. So just another storm report coming in from these storms that we've been tracking all morning. But the severe weather threat has ended for places like Edgefield. But now that people are able to actually get out and assess the damage, we're starting to get more of those reports trickle into the area. But the immediate concern definitely continues to be Bamberg County. That's where we have that active tornado warning. Still some lingering showers here across the metro, but those are non-severe. It is going to be windy the rest of today, just not the severe weather threat that we're currently tracking in the eastern CSRA. So the only county left is Bamberg County. Once this does clear Bamberg County, then we'll be able to go back to regular programming. But if you're anywhere in central Bamberg County, just make sure you're in your safe spot. You are underneath a tornado warning. This is Doppler indicated. Wow. So we don't necessarily have confirmation of tornadoes on the ground, but we are looking at the potential for a tornado to form any minute with the type of rotation that we do have on radar. And looking at some of our current winds and gusts out there, looks like Sylvania on the back side of that cell, seeing some gusts over 40. Sustained wind at 30. Our Millen sensor looks like it got knocked out there. Not seeing anything being reported in Barnwell either. But you can see even back towards Atlanta, they have gusts up to 30 miles an hour, and that's the type of wind we will expect to be continuing across the area throughout our Thursday afternoon and even to the early evening.
And we'll look at that real quick. The wind threats with the lake wind advisory and even a wind advisory with significant higher wind values that could be gusting up to 40 or greater from Wilkes County all the way to Emmanuel County and back into central and western Georgia, including Macon and Atlanta. Lake wind advisory is in play already until 8 for central and eastern counties, where we're already seeing wind gusts over 20 miles per hour. Over 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts that were in some of those locations probably that the sensors weren't picking up a little bit more. Let's go back a little bit more into the Bamberg County area where we still have that severe weather threat and that tornado warning a little bit more. It looks like it's east of you in Oler. 301, it looks like it's kind of more right on top of 601, kind of 301 southwest of Bamberg.
Right at that crossroads.
Right at that intersection right there is where we continue to see probably some more really strong winds and very heavy rain, and even into probably State Highway 362. Looks like they
just kind of trimmed it back a little bit. So they just update this. They are not dropping the tornado warning. So that is the new alert that you see pop up on your screen there. They just trimmed it back and really just highlighting up ahead of this cell is where the tornadic threat does continue. So around 601 State Road 362, downtown Bamberg, you are technically not included in this tornado warning, but just south of downtown Bamberg you are. And I would honestly say, Tim, that's where the strongest rotation is, kind of on the northern end of this warning polygon, right near the intersection you were just talking about of 301 and 601. So if you're anywhere close to downtown Bamberg, a good idea to make sure you are in your safe spot and staying there until this warning is allowed to expire. The worst of the weather now really showing up just south of downtown Bamberg, and we'll be continuing moving off towards the east over the next 15 minutes or so.
All right, let's quick put a track on the wrong one. Let's load that back up here. Apologize, folks. Just trying to give you some towns. We talked about it a lot. Clear Pond, some of the major highways out there in eastern Bamberg County, from 601 to 362, and maybe even part of 78.
Uncheck the radar real quick, and we can probably see, it just makes it a little bit clearer to kind of see those spots underneath that tornado warning. But this is a pretty rural stretch of central Bamberg County, but anywhere around 78, State Road 362, 601, anywhere in that area in the solid red, if you live there, those are the places that are next in line for this tornadic threat. And especially just south of downtown Bamberg is where we're really seeing that rotation at its peak with this current cell that we're tracking. So good idea to just stay in that safe spot until it is clear.
It's been a while. It's been since about 2 this morning. This same line's been tracking out of western Georgia. You've listed some damage reports. We've seen storm reports of tornadoes confirmed south of Macon. Haven't had any confirmed here in our viewing area, but no doubt damage reports from wind. You talked about parts of Edgefield County. We heard about an Aiken County, a tree across high tension lines creating a fire as well. So this is moving quickly off toward the east, just still hanging into the Bamberg County area. That's where the most significant line is. It's kind of warned into the Orangeburg County area outside of our viewing area. But if you're right around Williston, Barnwell, Klein, you're in the clear. Allendale, you're in the clear. Anywhere along there and west, it's just going to be some rain, and it's just going to be windy for the rest of today. We've got the wind advisories and the lake wind advisories that are going to continue there. But where we just kind of hold on to where we're talking about is far eastern Bamberg County, just south of Bamberg. It's probably raining very heavily in Bamberg right now, where we do see most of our heavy rain right here.
If you want to go back to Web 2 and the high resolution radar, Tim, we can just kind of highlight how that strongest rotation is just south of downtown Bamberg. I'll zoom in the map right here. So there's downtown Bamberg in the northern fringe of this warning polygon. I would say this looks less of tight circulation as what it was when this was initially triggered as a tornado warning. So seeing some positive trends in the last couple of scans, but we know with these storms and these type of lines, we can definitely see it go through cycles to where it kind of tightens up it loosens up, tightens back up again, and just kind of goes through that process, basically kind of like how we breathe. It's just kind of ingesting warm, humid air, tightening up, raining itself out a little bit, and then getting another big juice of warm, humid air from the surface. So that's the concern we're going to continue tracking here as this continues moving east. It looks like the latest scan that just came through now pushing that strongest rotation east of 601 and getting closer to Highway 78. So if you're anywhere there in eastern and northern Bamberg County, on the east side of downtown Bamberg, traveling down Highway 78, that is going to be the area of concern to where we are tracking at least some really strong wind with it, Tim. Even if there's not a tornado, I would imagine some gusts, maybe up to 60 miles per hour, will be possible.
That's what most of the, I believe, reports you've probably passed along were from the significant straight line winds that all of these, this whole cell was tagged with for the last several hours, up to 60 mile per hour winds, or maybe even a few higher gusts. But and now that things may be even loose from some of that wind, now we've got a windy day to deal with. So there may be some things that might just be hanging on by a thread, might still come down. So just kind of once this line completely moves east, get out and survey kind of around your area. Obviously, we're not really expecting a resurfacing of severe weather for the rest of the afternoon, but it is going to be a windy day. It's very wet outside. It's been a pretty hectic morning since about 8 o'clock in a lot of our western counties, so moving in through here. So I'll go back and just quickly kind of look and show you some of the watches that have been dropping off. They'll continue to drop off even more. Wilkes, Tolliver, Hancock, no longer under the tornado watch. The newest ones were Emmanuel and Jenkins County, no longer under a tornado watch. But I bet it's not going to be long before some of our metro counties get dropped. And still, obviously, the most significant in Bamberg County at this point. But all of western Georgia dropped off there. So we're just probably going to continue to get more and more reports of what we're already seeing come across here with damage reports from some of the emergency management officials around parts of Aiken, Edgefield, and maybe even in Bamberg County. So still stay in a safe place down there in Bamberg County. That's where we still have that tornado warning. It looks like east of Bamberg, some very heavy rain east of Cope, Canaan, and right around 362 and 78. Those are areas you just want to be off of right now.
Definitely so. And looking at reflectivity, this was just kind of the area concern we're looking at. So I'll kind of draw it on the map. This area of rotation right here, you can see there's a little notch, and that's kind of lining up to where we're seeing the strongest rotation with that cell that could potentially produce a tornado, which is why the warning is in effect. So Embry, you're going to be next in line for this if they do extend the warning. Tim, we're kind of getting to the eastern edge of this tornado warning, and we haven't heard word that they're going to extend it or not. I would say with the rotation signature we're seeing on radar right now, it doesn't look quite as tight as what it was when it was initially updated. But this will continue pushing into Orangeburg County next. Once that is into Orangeburg County, we'll be able to drop our coverage and go back to our regular programming out there, which, man, we've kind of covered up CBS Morning News, and now Morning Mix, unfortunately, had to bump their show as well. And I think right now maybe Price is not Price Right. It's at 11. Luckily, we're not going to cover up Prices Right. It'll be done with by the time we get to 11
looks
o'clock.
Like that.
So if you're worried about that,
go on as scheduled.
We are not going to be covering up Prices Right. This should be over and done with by the time we get to around 10:45, most likely.
Yep, it's 10:31 right now. That's exactly when this is allowed to go and expire at 10:45. So around 78, if west of Embry along, it looks like US 78 is where, if there is something rotating, it's right on top of there, just west of Embry along 78, eastern Bamberg County. Looks like now the Clear Pond area, you're okay along 601 and 301, which kind of runs eventually into Bamberg. Now, Bamberg, you're still probably seeing some heavy rain, and still it's pretty windy there. You're not totally in the clear in Bamberg yet, but in Embry, when it moves off a little bit more outside of the Bamberg County area, that's kind of in line where we've got that circulation drawn out, where we're seeing that little notch in that very strong line of some rainfall and very strong winds that are going to continue here. So 10:32 our time. We still got a little less than 15 minutes for this to stay in warning effect. Still a lot of severe thunderstorm warning aspects are part of this same line, which extend well out into Orangeburg and southeast of the Midlands of South Carolina. It looks like it's just not going to weaken. It's just holding together. Dynamics are still good enough to keep it as a severe thunderstorm warned line, and with the potential to produce tornadoes here. It's going to be real interesting.
Latest scan that just came through, Tim, right now getting close to that Orangeburg County line, and it did tighten up a little bit with the latest scan that just came through. But this is in very rural stretches of Bamberg and Orangeburg County, right along the Edisto River. So this is rural and hopefully not impacting a ton of people in that area. But you can see that bright green on the bottom left part of your screen. That normalized rotation is now more of a ball shape instead of kind of the elongated line that we had a couple of scans ago. So indication that this storm is trying to tighten up its rotation again, and it's lining up with that velocity field we see too. Looks like we just got another new scan that popped up, and you can see into Orangeburg County between Branchville and Roseville. They're underneath a severe thunderstorm warning and expecting some pretty strong wind with this cell. And right now this is right at the edge of that tornado warning, so it doesn't look like necessarily they are going to extend this tornado warning into Orangeburg County. There you go, just updated it to a severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like that tornadic threat is now moving out of Bamberg County into Orangeburg County, which is technically not our viewing area. So, Tim, I think we can start to wrap things up for this morning.
I think so, yes. One quick little sweep. I'll show you the watches again, folks. We'll probably continue, as I mentioned, to see more and more of these tornado watches drop, but from Wilkes, kind of back west to Hancock County, south and east into Jenkins, Emmanuel County, that's been dropped from the tornado watch. We'll probably start seeing more and more of our central counties from Richmond, the metro area, Burke County, still under it. I'm not dropping anything. That's just what is still in play in all of our South Carolina counties, including areas up in Columbia all the way down toward the low country and even into the PD region and coastal plains up through Florence. They'll probably have to deal with some of this same line as we move on through this morning.
And just have to watch out for some breezing conditions the rest of this afternoon. We have the wind advisories out there, and we'll continue to get most likely some more storm reports over the next couple of hours too. And we'll continue to relay those messages to you for the rest of today. So once again, the severe weather threat has ended for the CSRA, and we're just going to be dealing with these breezy conditions for the rest of this afternoon. And then as we head into tomorrow, get ready for the 30s to make a return. So this cold front is going to drop our temperatures over the next 24 hours, and temperatures actually will drop this afternoon. So we actually already hit our high temperature here around Augusta, and temps could actually hit the 50s by later today before the sun goes down. Another quick look at what we're looking at. So the worst of that rotation is now pushed out of Bamberg County, now moving into Orangeburg County. So you know anyone there, make sure they have a heads up, make sure they're staying safe. And thank you for joining our coverage early this morning. Hopefully you and everyone you love does stay safe out there this morning, and we'll have more updates later today.